Grab a seat, Panther fans. You're listening to the longest running Panthers podcast around. That's the C3 Panthers Podcast, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. My name's Tony Dunn. They call me the professor. And tonight we've got a fantastic show for you. Tonight's show, NFL teams waiting for the Sean Payton domino to fall. We'll be talking about the continued Carolina Panthers coaching search, some of the NFL news as we go into the playoffs, as Joe Burrow remains ice cold and maybe making an argument for the best quarterback in the NFL. Tom Brady freaking out on his own podcast, and even Matt Rhule still acting like a sniveling ass fool on Bussin with the boys. Just whenever he says anything that you can find any modicum of liking, he continues to be a whining, suckling little biatch. Sorry, I hate it. I want to not be that mean. And you don't have to be that mean, or you can be. You can smash the thumbs up button and be nice. Hell, hit the thumbs down button. It probably helps the algorithm just as much. And you can call into the show at 252-228-5098. Tell me the professor's the smartest, and tell me that my wheelman Cody Lashney is the coolest.
Hey, man, listen, you already know there's nowhere I'd rather be on a Tuesday night than sitting here chilling, hanging with my boys, talking about Panther football. Man, we still have this coaching stuff to talk about. I have some big-time opinions for y'all tonight. You better get ready. I got some opinions on Sean Payton, on Ken Dorsey, on Shane Stitchen, on Steve Wilkes. Man, we have a loaded show tonight, Tony Dunn. But you already know that we're going to do it with the best damn Panther fans in all of YouTube. You already know them and love them. It's our guys, Drew, AU Link, CJA, Craig Cartner, D'Angelo the Legend, James Island Panther, Jerome, Josh, Lynn Leon Hart. What's up, Lynn? Matt Knows Nothing, Panther Pickle, Richard's Outdoor World, Promise Panda, Supernova Moore, Sideshow, White Chocolate Espresso, and Tim Estes. Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
Man, it's been a week, and the Panthers still do not have a head coach, but none of the head coaches throughout the NFL or positions have been filled yet. I feel like this is one of the slower coaching cycles. Sean Payton's stock continues to actually today suddenly has strangely taken a downturn, and some other coaches have fallen to the wayside. CK, we're a week in from the last time we discussed this. Is it kind of surprising that the Carolina Panthers don't have a head coach yet?
No. I mean, I think if Tepper learned anything from the first round,
can we hear everybody? Why are people putting audio up there? It's not you. Sorry.
They did that earlier on. I think the intro wasn't working for the audio for whatever reason, but it said it was back. But the part of this that I think that is maybe something we should take some optimism from is that David Tepper hasn't rushed this process like he did with Rhule. Like we saw 3 years ago when he went to go hire Matt Rhule, he flew down there and gave him the job almost immediately. That wasn't a second interview. That wasn't after a virtual interview. This was literally, hey, we would like to come down and interview you. We went down there and we're going to hire you to be our, like, that was the difference. Right. So it is different. And so it's not a surprise that we haven't gotten the head coach yet. What is a surprise is the fact that people are, there's so many reports out there from so many different factions, corners of the NFL. And I'm not so sure I believe the hype that Sean Payton doesn't have a big market. Now the part that I can believe is Sean Payton not wanting to go to some of the teams that he's got offers from, potentially. But I'm pretty excited about the fact that this is taking as long as it has because, we've talked about one of these candidates who hasn't really had an opportunity to do the interview effectively, who is an offensive coordinator for the Eagles, who, by the way, calls all the plays for the offense. It's not called by their what is his name?
He's the Sirianni. He's the Italian.
Yeah.
Stallion.
I wanted to say Giuliani, and I was like, that's not him. And so that is exciting because that offense has been really awesome to watch this year. And so that would be an interesting hire. I'd be for that. I'd be for Steve Wilkes coming back. But the Sean Payton news is definitely encouraging, in my opinion, for what I want, and that is to not see Sean Payton touch the field as a Carolina Panthers head coach.
Dang. No vagina lips on your face, coach. He does look like, that's what salesman always says. He looks like a vagina, as in the bad joke, he got a Chinese vagina.
Never heard that in my life.
Bingo. You never heard that one?
Never in my life. That
Which
must
one?
be
The Sean Payton one or the Chinese?
No, everyone's heard that about Sean Payton. I've just never heard the other one.
Okay.
I will say this though.
We might get ended for that one. We might get canceled for that one.
Yeah, you gotta think about that. I will say this though. My opinion on Sean Payton has changed. Not on him as a candidate, but on basically his chances of being a head coach in general. We'll talk about it.
Man, he went from the toast of the town to can he even do this job anymore?
No, I don't think anybody's saying
that. His likelihood. The argument I'm going to make later is that he has much more of a reason now to stay with Fox for one more year and basically still have his pick of the litter next year. Well, we'll talk about it.
All right. Greg, we have watched the NFL playoffs start to unfold. The San Francisco 49ers pushed ahead of the Dallas Cowboys. They're going to the NFC Championship. The Philadelphia Eagles smoked the Giants. And then you had the Bengals now taking on a hobbled Patrick Mahomes Kansas City Chiefs. Mm-hmm. And the news, seemingly all of that has some effect in the coaching carousel, right? I mean, is that people stock up and down a week later? Welcome to the show, Greg. And any thoughts about the NFL, the coaching staff? Your opening monologue.
Well, thanks, Ben. As far as coaching goes, I'm on CK's train with the Sean Payton thing. I don't want to see in Carolina. I mentioned that last week. I think it's a good sign that we haven't signed a coach yet. I think it's a little too early still to be. If they'd signed somebody already, I feel like they wouldn't have done their due diligence on said coach. And as far as the NFL goes, I'm not gonna lie. I was thinking about today. I think this is the first time in a long time that I can remember the 4 best teams in the NFL being the 4 teams left. Like there's no Cinderella team. These are the 4 best teams in the NFL, and there's no question.
Yeah,
and it's cool to see that we're going to see the 4 top dogs battle out for the championship.
Agreed.
Love to hear that.
I'm pumped.
I'm supposed to be, So I can't remember the last time it was like that. There's always a wild dog or a Cinderella team. Last year that was Cincinnati. And now Cincinnati I think is easily one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the NFL.
Who is the team that didn't make it? Is there a team? Because I think you might be right, Greg. I don't think there's anybody off the top of my head that said, they really
the
blew
NFC
it.
South was the only Cinderella division this year.
Yeah.
Maybe the Jaguars
out to the right teams. I think you know what I'm saying is that you could say by this point, all of those guys who were imposters. I think the 2 teams right now representing the NFC are the best in the NFC. I think Greg's right.
Yep.
I don't think that. That's a great question, chat. You guys let us know in the AFC. Are those the 2 best teams in the AFC? I mean, obviously they are because they made it, but you know what we're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
You can call into the show at 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. Check us out on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher. Help us get our audio podcast numbers up. We're putting out shorts. We're on Twitter. Help us in this offseason as we continue our coverage of the Carolina Panthers to continue to grow. We're on that pace for 5,000 subscribers, folks. One a day. Give us one more today. Let's start with this coaching talk. Let's get into it. The coaching talk, man, is it's been a week. We're a week removed, and I think the Carolina Panthers have, from reports, finished their interviews. The first set, these are the candidates.
First round interviews. Yeah.
Right. When we started with Jim Caldwell, Steve Wilkes, Frank Wright. That was, I guess, the story. Right. And then you get the Ben Jacobs, who was pulled out of the race. I guess it went next to Ben Jacobs, Ken Dorsey. Who else did we get in there?
So this is the list of all the candidates that the Panthers have spoken to and are going to speak to at all. So somewhere amongst this list of 9 names lies your future Carolina Panther head coach. The names that we have interviewed.
For the people that can't see: Steve Wilkes,
Yeah,
Jim
Steve
Caldwell, Frank Reich, Steve Payton, Shane Stitchen,
Sean Payton.
I said Shane what?
Shane you said Shane Payton.
No, you said Steve Payton.
Sean Payton, Shane Stitchen, Ajiro Evero, Ken Dorsey, Mike Kafka, and Kellen Moore. Notable not mentions there, as did not make the list and have climbed kind of around the league. I would say Dan Quinn's name is pretty hot throughout the league. I'm trying to think if there's another one.
D'Amico Ryans.
Is it really hot though?
Yes, Dan Quinn's name is hot right now.
Especially after this past week, because everybody is so reactionary. And I guess Harbaugh was a hot name that we didn't have an interview. So these are the candidates. Our next coach is there. Cody, tell us what's going on with this search right here. I guess Sean Payton's the biggest news, right?
Well, yeah. So look, Sean Payton is the biggest news, but I mean, kind of not really. This is what I was hinting at that I wanted to talk about later. I feel like you could make the argument that it would be better suited for Sean Payton to sit out 2023, stay in the Fox commentary booth, and then next year, he's still going to be the biggest name head coach that is available on the market. And it's going to stay that way because he's a Super Bowl winning head coach. The more and more I think about it, like to me, I think the Denver Broncos are the number 1 team that's likely to land Sean Payton, which is still kind of confusing to me because the Broncos don't even have that many draft picks to be able to give up for Sean Payton. But think of it this way, right? We're going to talk about the Bills coaching staff later. You know, imagine if you're Sean Payton and the Chargers open up or the Bills open up next year if McDermott can't get over the hump in the playoffs with Buffalo. There just seems to be like so many opportunities that would be available to him in 1 more year's time. Plus, whatever team that he's going to, he's not making them have to sacrifice first-round picks in order to land his services. It's just the more and more time goes on, I don't think he's going to be a coach this year unless the Waltons agree to give him shares in Walmart or something outrageous like that. But I don't know. I mean, I really don't think that Sean Payton is going to be the coach of the Panthers. I would like that just because of his tenure and the things that he's done. I wouldn't be upset with it. But if I'm a betting man, Sean Payton is not going to be the next head coach of the Panthers.
If you're right, just say you're right. That not that about the Panthers part, about the better scenario for Sean Payton. Is next year, not this year, and you cite the draft picks and what they would have to give up. If you think that, he obviously would know that and believe that too before you came to that conclusion. Is he doing this for his old buddy Loomis to like maybe hook them up and get them some picks and get what he wants? Like, I mean, if that's the case, why didn't he just wait and say, I got another year under contract and I still could be looking for something.
But like, that's what I mean. How many
did he do what he did? Because he has been as Harbaugh was like,
but he's the big name. He's won the Super Bowl.
Here's you've got to keep in mind his belief was that it was only going to be a mid to late round, right? And then he got 4 interviews, and all of a sudden that became 2 first rounds. And I'll tell you, the 2 first round numbers tells me one of 2 things. They raised the price because we were the most interested parties. And I've been saying that since last week. There isn't a shot in heck that we're going to have the opportunity to take him for a cheap price like people thought we were going to get. He was going to go for a higher price if we wanted him. And that tells me these reports that they want 2 first-round picks tell me everything I need to know about who was the number 1 dog in the house trying to get Sean Payton. And I think that means that that the Saints raised that price. Now, I think that there are a couple of factors that could go into play here. I asked the question in one of our creator chats. I said, do we believe that the Saints would not accept a second round from anybody other than the Panthers? They will not take a second round for Sean Payton. But if nobody else is coming and knocking, and Sean Payton likes the fact that he's got the Broncos, well, if they offer a second for him, but nobody else is coming and offering anything for him, like, do the Saints just not accept it and then lose out on that second round draft pick? Because they won't get anything if he waits till next year.
Yeah, that's not. They have no choice. Like, that's what I was trying to say last week.
They're playing us.
If Sean Payton decided, hey, this is where I want to go, this is the only place that I'm going to go, so you better work out some type of draft capital with that team, because I'm not going to just any old team, right? Let's say Houston.
Yes, he will. He'll go to anybody right now. He is out there. Just
why would he go to anybody?
He's in Arizona. Look, he's interviewed with Denver. He's interviewed with us. He's interviewed with Houston. He's interviewed with Arizona. If he didn't like what he was feeling from Denver, why the hell would he be going to Arizona right now?
Because Arizona has
Kyler Murray
draft pick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I mean, Kyler Murray's a good quarterback. I don't think he's great. But, well, let me ask you something about Tepper in this situation. Why is it that Tepper is so rich? Like, you would think somebody with that would be a guy who has like a lot of leverage and makes smart moves. Doesn't it always seem like he's being held hostage in every transaction? Every transaction, the CMC transaction, Sam Darnold, every Baker Mayfield, everybody's picked up. It seems like he's been held hostage and just had to take what they were going to give him.
Frugal, bro. Rich people just go to one grocery store. They don't care how much the ketchup costs. They don't make the effort to go to the other grocery store to get their condiments. They just stop at Harris Teeter.
But Tony, see what I'm saying though? Like, if Sean Payton doesn't love any one of these landing spots, he can wait another year and easily get a better job next year. There's no reason. But dude, there's no reason for him to rush into a job with an organization that doesn't give him all the pieces that he thinks that he needs to be able to be successful with.
Why does Denver not have it?
Because they don't have a first-round draft pick that's super relevant this year.
And Houston's got it.
Beyond, Houston might have it. Well, they have a late first.
Guess what they got? They got fucking money, dude. And next year, his name, there will be more names. There will be his hype is at the highest.
But what if Russell Wilson's done?
Here's the question with regard to that.
It'll be just tied next year.
I've said this from the get-go. Why would Sean Payton go to a place that literally has given away 2 first-round draft picks? Like, you're basically asking him to go to a place that's then rebuild and not give him as many opportunities to rebuild that team as possible.
He can't never go to Carolina, right?
Why wouldn't he?
We have more opportunity.
We would have to give up 2 first-round draft picks.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, I agree, but I thought you were talking about because we were giving away first or something like that. But yeah, why would you do that? And that's why I agree with Cody. I think that Sean Payton sits another year and just waits for his contract to be up. I don't think he has any obligation to the Saints. Like, I don't feel like, why would he be that way? And the Saints, a lot of people say,
just trying to help them out. Like, look, we can get you some draft picks, and I can get the job and I can get the bag.
But you've got to keep in mind, he's losing the things that are going to help his team be successful. Like, that's the part that's completely opposite. Like, he's going for an opportunity, but why give away?
These guys believe in themselves so much, and it's possible to win without that shit. We've already talked about that. I don't think he was that scared. Like, he's gonna be like, "Oh, I can't get some shit done." I guess.
Tony,
my question is, Dallas making a mistake by not going and getting them right now?
I mean, man, they have problems at the quarterback position. I think so, but.
Nobody really believes in McCarthy. Like, nobody believes in Kellen Moore now. Kellen Moore's stock dropped. McCarthy is still a wet noodle. And now Dan Quinn's the most brilliant motherfucker on that staff. Like, you trying to tell me that that's not an immediate upgrade?
But Tony, if Sean Payton wanted to help the Saints out, why wouldn't you just work a contract out and say I'm going somewhere else after this? Like if you really wanted to help them, then why wouldn't you just coach if you know you're going to coach after your contract's up, right?
Because then you got to figure out Dennis Allen. That's an interesting.
But that's what I'm saying. That's why he doesn't really want to help them. They're just going to take your money.
Then why don't you, when you win the lottery, why don't you take the payments then?
But there's another.
The
There's
goal
another
is
element
always to put big chunks of money in your investment so you're making the money, not someone else. The whole future, this and that, give it to me now. They're willing to pay this too. I guess the question, maybe the underlying question ultimately is this: a question to ask is, does Payton have as much ultimate sway? Is this him saying, ugh, I don't know if I want to do this? Or is this more teams saying, we don't know if we want to do this.
No.
And we don't know if we want to pay you $20 million a year. Is Tepper worried that he's already pissed the owners off because he paid fucking Matt Rhule a crazy amount and already kind of bumped up the set like the Browns did with Deshaun Watson? He kind of moved it into the next upper echelon. And do the Broncos truly not want to give them what it takes? Because I understand you guys are trying to tell me, oh, it could be, I guess I'll wait for a better job. But if somebody says we're going to pay you $15 million right now,
why do you think that Fox isn't willing to do that?
Guaranteed. Then your ass take that shit.
No, Tony, you're wrong.
He's going to be but Tony, what you're not understanding is Sean Payton is going to be just as hot of a commodity next year as he is this year.
And he's still getting. And the Saints are still paying him this year. The Saints are still paying him this year.
It's by a fucking bus.
Nah, okay. What if my aunt had nuts? Nah, we do this all the time.
It's a difference, man. You guys, I don't need to
do all this. What is
$100 million, dude?
But here's the. You know he got paid a good amount of money by the Saints, right? You know he wasn't an underpaid coach in the NFL. He's still getting that money from the Saints because even though he's retired. So he's still getting that money you're talking about, and he's getting paid by Fox. On top of that, a couple of things I wanted to address real quick. A lot of people last week were, saying they're going to keep receipts for me and all this stuff, and I saying that there is no shot that we're getting Sean Payton for any type of a discount or just one first-round draft pick. And a lot of people were saying that if we're the only ones to offer him the Saints like a second-round pick, they're just gonna if nobody else is gonna offer it, they're gonna take it because they'll take the draft picks. You've got to keep in mind that's not a zero-sum game. I get draft picks or nothing. It's I get draft picks and I'm gonna be facing Sean Payton for the next unforeseeable future. So they would rather not give us Sean Payton, even if it means they get no draft picks, than they would give us Sean Payton for a second-round pick, because that is a loss for them. Like, they get a second-round pick, but they're also having to face Sean Payton, and they know he's a good coach, and the impact that's going to have on our organization is going to be far more than their second-round pick they're getting.
Fair. Here's the final point we're going to make on Sean Payton, then we're going to go. Can we pull up the slides for the coaches, the odds? And final point on this is that if the right move for Sean Payton is to wait next year, the Carolina Panthers are not out of the Sean Payton running, as we've seen what the teams will do to Steve Wilkes and make him be a patsy coach for a year, and then we could just pay Sean Payton. Ow, zing.
Would never happen.
Well,
I guess you could hire Mike Kafka and fire him in a year and then hire Sean Payton. But without the Sean Payton stuff, as we look at these names right here, the names of there's the coaches here. The coaches here. So let's take Sean Payton off the board. Who is the Carolina Panthers coach? Who is likely? Who's likely not? Wherever you want to take it.
So right now, according to BetOnline-AG, Shane Stite. People were trying to correct me in the chat. Apparently, I'm saying his name wrong. I've been saying Stitchin. Okay, Stitchin. Yeah, so Shane Stitchin is at 2-1. Steve Wilkes is at a 5-2 plus 250. Then Sean Payton. So right now, Shane Stitchen is the guy. And listen,
The leader.
Look, this past weekend of playoff football, and to be honest, the entire playoffs, in my opinion, has been very revealing. And we've been having this conversation about the offensive-minded head coach, and the culture builder, and the defensive-minded head coach, and all these different things that go into this. But you see a very clear trend when you look at the mindset of all these different coaches that we've brought in. They are all offensive-minded coaches. And, I mean, if you look at all of the coaches right now that are in the playoffs, they all have offensive backgrounds. So now the real trend is getting an offensive head coach that can be the leader of your offense and that you can pair with a quarterback for a long time to come, for years to come. And, I've been saying this for a while, that to me, Steve Wilkes, he's no longer the leader in the clubhouse because of the fact that he doesn't have that offensive background. And I think that's what the Panthers are looking for. That's what they're striving for. All the rumors were at one point in time that Ben Johnson was the number one in the wheelhouse. Then it moved on. But I just think that right now, Steve Wilkes, and I said this a week or two ago, he's a backup plan. If for whatever reason, Stitchen, whatever the hell his name is, if he doesn't work out, then he is the fallback guy in case some of these other young up-and-comers don't pan out for him.
I tell you, this list right here, guys, tells you that I am right about my about my head coaching take. Is that a couple of things here? Ben Johnson, fucking terrible error he made by stepping out of the head coaching carousel to go back because they're building something special with Detroit. Detroit and Jared Goff and that offense falls off. He will fall off as a candidate. He might still be a name out there, but his name is that the hot value, and like overinflated. And here's why, because you can see the opposite. I could give you names from last year that were those names, from Byron Leftwich to Joe Brady to Eric Bieniemy. The list is long to where even the guys that even got the stupid jobs, like the dude that went to Green Bay or whatever, you risk being a flash in the pan. And guess who was a flash in y'all's pan that I told you wasn't ready? Ken Dorsey, folks, went from toast of the town. Oh, people on Twitter going, oh, let's get Ken Dorsey and maybe get Steve Wilkes to be his defensive coordinator. Blah. But man, they got busted up in that one game. And now Ken Dorsey, everybody goes, who? Ken Dorsey, who? Ran the ball 6 times in that game or whatever from the shotgun only. Ken Dorsey, who? And now Brandon Beane coming out there and say, we're going to try to help Ken Dorsey grow. Ken Dorsey, it hurt him, but he moved backwards last week.
Oh, yeah.
Ben Johnson could be a name we never think of. I think of another name that's really important. Pep Hamilton. Pip. Remember Pep Hamilton? He was such a hot name. I ain't heard his name since. This is why you take the money and you take the job right then, even if you don't think you're ready, even if you think you're going to fail, because the opportunities are far and fleeting. And Ken Dorsey's not a name anymore, guys.
Well,
Kellen Moore, not a name anymore after this week. Hell, Dan Quinn's the best coach on that team after last week.
I think that's a little bit of recency bias. I think
but
that
that's what the world in the NFL is.
You're right.
Look at this. They're not even going to look at him anymore.
Not right now, but let's wait. Let's wait a month and see what happens.
A month? We're going to already hire our coach by then.
It's recency bias, man. I just feel like I'm not saying these guys are the guys, but like guys like Kellen Moore and Ken Dorsey, we rave about things they do all year long, and when they do fantastic, we talk about how great they are, and then they have one bad game against possibly the two best teams in the NFL, and we want to say that they're not ready now. It just seems like
recently. Well, they only have 4 good games, and you were saying they were ready.
Who's they only had 4 good games?
Basically Dorsey. I mean, think about that. Like, all right. So they went 12-4, 12-5. Mm-hmm. You mean like there's got to be a couple of games where the offense just won't like the bet, right? I mean, like, so you're saying this is one good game ruins it, but such a small sample set also propelled them. That's what I'm saying is that we get too hype on these guys with small sample sets. If anything, Stitchen is the most accomplished out of all of them because he's done 2 full years as a coordinator.
Well, you're right. Hold on, real quick, Cody. You're right that that's a small sample set, the 1 year, but it's 17 times the sample set we just got last week. So, I mean, it may be a small sample set, but it's much, much larger than the one sample set we're going from to say he's no good anymore.
I mean, and he's got a, where he's gone, there has been better offenses, and better quarterback play in the long run, regardless of what your feelings are about his time here in Carolina. It's hard to argue the fact he came here and Cam started playing better. And so I listen, I'm not, what do you mean when? We've already went over this. We've talked, you didn't, what do you mean?
And Dorsey?
Yes.
When he was with Cam started playing better?
Yes. He was there for his 2015 year.
Yeah. Well, guess what? I would have more attribute that to Norv Turner than I would to
Norv Turner wasn't here in 2015.
I meant not Norv Turner. Sorry.
Mike Shula.
So Mike Shula, by the way, is one of the more underrated. Like people like to.
I don't want to hear shit about Shula.
How can you?
People still talk shit about Cam's mechanics. Some of the things that is that it's not like all of a sudden we're like, oh, wonder Ken Dorsey. In fact, and maybe I have a personal bias on this because I always said at that time, as I was doing this podcast, as watching the team as closely as we all do, I was saying, man, I really think Cam could benefit from a more seasoned voice because Ken Dorsey was like his age, hadn't done shit in his own career. I just didn't know how much he was ultimately resonating with Cam at that time. And that was a thing that I brought up a lot. And I'm not saying this is somebody put this in the chat is like, oh, he had one bad game. Now he's trash. No, what I was saying is that not you guys, the earth, the people who were like, oh, Ken Dorsey, they're the recency bias because they were all just on his, for ultimately something that we don't know if he was the architect of, just like you're talking about the 2015 season. Could you give him credit for, I don't know. I just thought he was too quick for people to throw their support behind and then look at how quick they jumped off the Ken Dorsey bandwagon.
Yeah. Well, and look, for good reason. I mean, listen, if you want to say that
because Tony said it, you're right.
No, not because you said it, because the game plan in that game against Cincinnati was terrible. It was absolutely awful. They were throwing the ball downfield at a high clip in like a snowstorm.
That's what they always do.
Right, but hold on.
What else are they supposed to do?
No, but listen, no, there's definitely something that you can do, Tony. You start calling short and underneath passes, and you get your wide receivers open in space, and you probably have the best current running quarterback in the NFL, and you didn't give him any designed runs. Like, that's what the Bills do whenever their offense falls off a cliff, and they did none of that. So the fact that Ken Dorsey, the fact that Ken Dorsey was so thoroughly outcoached, and they were at home in front of their home crowd. I mean, it wasn't a good look. And, those big time moments when you're in the playoffs, dude, that's your stage, man. That's your opportunity to prove what you have as a play caller. And the fact that they look so inept against the Cincinnati Bengals, it's unacceptable. And I do think that's the main reason why his stock has dropped so considerably.
I want to finish with one point with my point for Ken Dorsey. And it is actually the most supportive thing I'm going to say about him. This is the point of why I don't want him to be why I don't think he's ready to be a head coach. He could have plenty of potential as a play caller, as a coach, and one day, maybe a head coach even in this league. But going 12-5 on a team that was a winning team already, right? And with a I don't know if he's shown enough situational experience. Like, he's still learning, and that's okay. That's okay for him. You're saying this, he got thoroughly out coached. You know what? That's his first playoff game at that magnitude in adverse conditions, playing from 2 touchdowns down. Less about the snow. The snow wasn't as much as the problem as the dam going down 2 touchdowns in the first 5 minutes and taking the complete wind out of your sails, and what you have been running so high on the Hamlin story and how we're like kind of almost destined to win no matter what. You ran 2 fucking kickbacks to back the week before, whatever it was, is that I don't even blame them. It's just like, hey, that was the whole reason that I'm not overly ready to crown these youngins just based on short sample sets of success. I think Ben Johnson falls into that category. I told you that with Joe Brady. Now Ken Dorsey's the next name, and kind of why I really have gravitated towards the Harbaugh, the Payton, Caldwell, and you can't have right.
You're gonna get your wish.
Like, we can't make no fourth right T-shirts on this,
dude. That would be
that's so terrible.
But dude, like it's that same list I showed you earlier. They want the offensive minded guy. And by the way, right now, since we're talking playoffs and things like that, like Shane Steichen is the guy whose name right now is the highest up on the list for the Panthers to be the next head coach. It goes back to what I'm saying, Tony. And I've said this for a long time on this podcast, that when you have an offensive-minded head coach, or no, pardon me, the other way around. If you have a defensive-minded head coach, right, let's say it's Steve Wilkes, and then next year he gets a really good offensive coordinator to orchestrate a dynamic offense. Let's say we bring in Frank Reich, and the offense just starts to roll, right? Okay, then the very next year, the guy that called your plays and who ran the offense is now going to be getting a head coaching job somewhere else. You're always going to be repeating the same trend. Now, there are other
all bought into this. I think you have brainwashed us all completely. I wonder, actually, is there anybody? I believe that in full now. I've completely jumped on that position. I believe CK has. Greg, or is there anybody that doesn't agree that at its core is a strong concept?
100%. I have been, I said that a few weeks ago. I was thinking,
Cody's been saying it for years.
Yeah, it's very difficult to have continuity in your offense, and we saw that constantly because with Cam, I know he had what we would consider his best year after Mike Shula left, but I mean, when you have that constant flux, there's bound to be some hiccups along the way. So I agree. I think that if we can. The thing that's tough is I really do want Steve Wilkes to be the head coach. Like inside, that's like that is something that's important to me. Like I do want to see him have that opportunity, but at the same time, I also know how that impacts our team moving forward and the potential ramifications that it could have long term. So I have to say that I'm more looking forward to seeing an offensive-minded head coach because it has been far too long.
Well, we've never
seen that. Yeah,
we've never had one in our history as one. The continuity argument as coordinators come and go is a very compelling one. There's 2 arguments that have developed on the C3 Panthers podcast. Not that we invented them, but over the time, I had the guy. We had, and hold on, his name's going to escape me for a minute, but he runs the scouting, they created the scouting college. If you want to go on and go to school and learn how to scout and like kind of, we had him on so many years ago. I think when we were looking for a GM or where our last head coach, and he's worked with a couple of front offices, and he was talking about what he believed, and I fully have adopted this. Like, there's one idea that I just will not change, and that is that when you bring in a new head coach, like a GM and a head coach need to be handcuffed together. The GM needs to bring the head coach in. They need to come in and live and die together. They have to, just because when you bring in a GM after the head coach, when you bring in the coach and you put a coach on a GM or vice versa or whatever it is, there's always this room for this secret power play in the background for when you run into problems, when you run into adversity, that someone's just gonna be like, well, those weren't my guys. Well, that's not the coach. Like, and it's just even just in the background, even if they don't say it, it exists. But when you bring in a GM, he brings in his head coach, and you just say, you guys have your time together. If we fire one, we're firing both of you. Like, you live and die together. They have to work as a married couple. I believe that. And I believe this offensive minded head coach is, I don't think you have to do it that way, but I think that is a compelling argument that it's an advantage as you try to, if you find success. You know what? It's not a problem if you don't find success. It don't matter. Your coordinators will stay just fine. My question to you guys is this: Steve Wilks, I think everybody here believes that he has done enough to show that he is a competent head coach, and arguably I don't think anybody would be fundamentally mad if we got him as our next head coach. What are the names up here that you would be okay with over him, or vice versa, if you want to tell me a name that would make you upset over him? I don't know how you want to take it.
Over Steve Wilks?
Yeah, like, I feel like this is like, I would say, okay, Sean Payton over Steve Wilks, the sexy factor, the V lips on your face, enough.
Yeah. No, I'll tell you easy.
If you said this, if we hired Kellen Moore or Ken Dorsey, I would say that's some bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, Caldwell, I think that's a complete lateral move. I would prefer Steve Wilks over Caldwell. I don't care what he did with Detroit once upon a time. Ejiro Evero. We keep on trying to figure out how to say this dude's name. The defensive backs coach for the Broncos. To me, it's a complete lateral move. The two, or I have three names right now that I would be really happy if I heard was the next head coach of the Carolina Panthers. That's Shane Steichen, that's Steve Wilks, and to be honest, it's Frank Reich, just because he does have the experience. And if we get the quarterback position, I don't think that he's a bad head coach. And there's been a lot of other really good head coaches that failed initially with one football team and then later had success with other teams, and they went on to win a Super Bowl. I think that he has Frank Reich has a good record. To be honest, and it's kind of what you were saying, Tony, about Dorsey. I kind of feel the same way about Mike Kafka. Yeah, I'm sure he's a great offense. I don't know much about him. I feel like he hasn't done
Giants.
Yet.
The Giants. That's all we need to know. The Giants offense was better than it was last year, but that's hard to be worse than it was last year. And are we really ready to just be like, and they have an offensive head coach? Are you really just ready to say, you know what? He's done more than fucking 8 other dudes in the league that have done the same shit?
Can I ask you about? I don't know as much about the coaching here as everybody, so it's hard for me to answer this question. But why does everybody have such a problem with Kellen Moore? Like, why does nobody have faith in him? I mean, think about this.
Can somebody find that play?
Well, okay, the one. Okay, once again, you're going to do one play that wasn't going to work.
Interested in this play. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I'd be. But here's the thing. Think about Kellen Moore. He's been with the Dallas offense, so he's been in the spotlight. He's always on national TV. He's always has to deal with pressure in big games. Okay. Whether you want to praise Dak Prescott or not, he's a 4th-round quarterback, and he's made him perform like a pretty decent quarterback for the time he's been there. And most of the time that he's been there, he hasn't even had Dak Prescott. A lot of times he had backup quarterbacks like Andy Dalton, and who was the guy who they had this year, Cooper Rush. So, and he's been winning games in a competitive division. So I just don't understand why everybody automatically hates Kellen Moore. I feel like Kellen Moore has proven more just as much as a lot of the people on that list.
I'll get. So is he on that list of somebody that you'd be fine with hiring over top of Steve Wilkes?
I don't know. I mean, if I had to hire somebody over Steve Wilkes, I couldn't say no for anybody in there because I don't know anybody. I don't know nothing about it. I wouldn't hire him over Steve Wilkes. No.
Well, I'll tell you I'll go on a little monologue on mine. So Shane Stitchen is the only one that I would be okay with hiring over Steve Wilkes. And I'll tell you a couple of reasons why. Shane Stitchen, I've already kind of alluded to this. He was the person calling plays in that Eagles offense, right? And that Eagles offense, by all accounts, is a fantastic offense. Like, it does nobody expecting them to be as good as they are this year. And there is a lot of help that they've received by not having to be on the field multiple times because they're they're able to stay off the field, or they're able to keep their defense off the field, but their defense is very helpful in getting them the ball back, and giving them favorable field position. So there is some benefit there, but overall that offense has been incredible. And I think that has you have to be able to take some praise and put it on him. Now the Frank Reich one, a lot of people are of Cody's mindset. Like, he's got a good head coaching pedigree, all that stuff. If you look at Frank Reich's experience, he had one good year of success before being hired as a head coach. He had been fired at every other level because of how inept his offenses were and the fact that his head coaches were getting fired mid-season, or at the end of the season. Frank Reich does not have a good history if you go and look it up. Okay, so then he went to the Eagles under Doug Peterson, and he got a lot of the praise for that Super Bowl run when they went to the Super Bowl with Nick Foles and winning that game. Again, with Doug Peterson, an offensive-minded guy. They did that. And then he went to the Colts, who were moving on from Chuck Pagano, but they had a great quarterback in Andrew Luck and a lot of positive things. And so they did a very good job that first year. One of his biggest critiques or, detractors was, is it because of Frank Reich or is it because of this high quarterback play? Because when you look at his history, he needs to have a elite quarterback for his offenses to be
head coach in Arizona and just kind of in that transition.
Right.
I don't like the same thing I talk about. Sometimes you just.
Yep, we can do that. Sorry, I don't know if you know that.
Tony's.
Yeah, that's what I said. So I think we've got to keep that in mind with Frank Reich. He has not. A lot of people say that he has shown enough in this league. He has not. He has shown more failures than successes, and his failures have been horrendous.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah, but I would put Frank Reich over. I would put Frank Reich over Kellen Moore. Hey, Tony, you're playing something. I'm muting your ass. I would prefer Frank Reich over Moore. I mean, listen, you can't always blame you can't always blame not getting the quarterback right on the head coach.
I didn't say that at all.
I know. I'm just saying there's a lot of things that go into that. And by the way, they did almost make the playoffs. They made the play that first year of Rivers, and then they damn near made it that next year, but Jacksonville kept them out. I wanted to bring up something because a lot of the Steve Wilkes detractors, the people who don't think that Steve Wilkes has what it takes to be our head coach, they keep on bringing up this certain point that we are the only team that has interviewed Steve Wilkes. That Steve Wilkes is not getting any interviews.
It's a little fair of a point.
But no, it's definitely, I mean, it's a point worth bringing up, right? And, I'm even going to put it in the same light as this. Tony, earlier you mentioned that Dan Quinn was another hot name that could potentially be a head coach. I don't know what you guys are reading, but I really don't know how true that is. Like I think that most of the guys that are the big name defensive guys, the Dan Quinn, the Fangio, Steve Wilkes for us right now, the defensive coaches, they're not the it guys right now. They're not the guys with the shine on their resume. So I think that falls into it. a little bit as well. It just goes not with the most popular trend being a defensive-minded head coach. And number two, it kind of lends some credence to the argument that the only reason Wilks is in the conversation for us, which I'm not saying that I agree with this. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. But, people are saying the fact that Steve Wilks is not getting other interviews with any other team is basically only showing that the Panthers interviewing him just because he did a really good job this year as the interim head coach for the Panthers.
Well, that's exactly why they're interviewing him. I mean, in fact, that's understandable. I think everybody knows that.
I mean,
the only reason is that they're
Saturday's getting an interview. But
that's like the most quirky example because they have a crazy ass owner that has this crazy long relationship with the team and that player. Steve Wilks deserves the interview,
right?
For what he did, but he would not be interviewed for the Panthers right now had he not been the interim.
Right, but every team that exists that has ever had an interim head coach will always do the interview with the interim head coach, regardless of their successes or their failures. And I think that's part of the reason. Now, the difference here is outside of Cleveland. I think we're the only ones that are at almost, or at least in recent memory, that are this close to where Steve Wilks is at that high on the list of the candidates. But I agree. I think that it's he's got the interview, and I think that he's high on that list. I think that he is a guy that they'll go to, but I also only think that he's a guy they're going to go to as a contingency plan. He's going to be the guy if Shane doesn't work out, or if Sean Payton doesn't work out, right? If they can't get the guy they really want, then they're going to hold on to the Steve Wilks card until they have to pull the trigger one way or another.
That's a slippery slope.
Well, let's do this. We still got to do PrizePicks. Don't forget the C3 Panthers podcast is sponsored by PrizePicks. You use the promo code C3. They will hook you up with a 100% match on your first time deposit up to $100. Whatever you do in your life, don't say you're on a heater because you will go on a cold streak that I got to come out of. Need to get a big hit. Oh, you already hear it. It's not gambling, folks. It's daily fantasy football sports, and we're going to play it in a little while, but I'd like to really get into the cat calls and see if we can get some of the fans' opinions in as we continue to parse through this information. Before we get too deep into the weeds of the playoffs and different things, we've been pretty focused on this head coaching search and some of those things. I believe that that's probably what the Panthers want to. Panther fans are interested in talking about and voicing their opinions. The number's 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. Cody, can we get into some cat calls? How you feeling?
Oh, you already know we can. Let's do that. Eventually,
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Podcast brothers, how y'all doing? It's G Cavassier. Hey.
What up, G?
I gotta go back on my word. Gotta eat crow. After looking into it, I did not want Sean Payton. And I was the main person up here saying that I want Sean Payton, but he's gonna be too damn expensive, y'all. He is, and I really don't want the Panthers to give up a first round pick this year and the next last year. Hey. On other news, man, there's a dude I got my eye on, man. I know you guys heard that dude, Anthony Richardson. Now, I know some people might not like him and this and that, but I think with the right coaching, that dude could be special. And I believe he will be there at the 9th pick. I really do. Because honestly, I don't see Bryce Young, that dude from Kentucky who I'm not sold on, or C.J. Stroud falling all the way to 9. I think the only way we can land players like that is if we move up, which I don't see us doing. And when it comes to the head coach, the offensive coordinator for the Eagles, I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind that at all. I really wouldn't. But we need a quarterback. Like, before I let y'all go, we're gonna play a game. What would you do? I remember I asked y'all that before. What would y'all do? Would you take Sean Payton? You know what I'm saying? For draft picks and stuff like that. Or would you try to get Lamar Jackson out of Baltimore? Both of them were damn expensive as hell. But what would you do? Keep pounding, y'all.
G, fantastic call, man. Longtime supporter and caller into the show. Love to hear the people that are so invested that they call back to 252-228-5098. Guys, I was excited before he asked those kind of questions that made me want to just talk about Lamar.
God, I did not want to talk about Lamar.
The AR-15 conversation, Anthony Richardson out of Florida. Some people have been bringing this up in the chat. That looks kind of sexy when you put it with Stitchin, who has had so much sex.
Right, that
I was waiting on that one.
So much success with Jalen Hurts there that seems like it could be a pair or a matching that would be appealing. But at the same time, too, he mentioned Will Levis, who did not play at the Senior Bowl.
It happened yet.
Oh, they haven't had it yet. What was the bowl they did have? Not a bowl. They have one game, and Holton Ahlers.
Well, he had a bowl game.
He didn't play his bowl game, but Holton Ahlers, the ECU quarterback, went somewhere to something for graduates. They did some sort of pro bowly thing or something and he supposedly was really good at it, but it wasn't the Senior Bowl clearly. But Will Levis, people are saying he's not going to play at the Senior Bowl. He didn't play in his bowl game. The scout on Twitter that we were listening to earlier today said, I wouldn't even expect him to throw at the combine, which I think is bullshit. I think he doesn't have enough clout to not go to the combine if you skip the Senior Bowl.
Because that's what everybody's all of the defenders of Will Levis are like, oh, well, he was hurt in the bowl game. You know, he was
hurt this season. He battled injury his last seasons.
Yeah. Go ahead, Greg.
Can I ask a question about the Stetson guy? He's the OC for Philly, right?
Philly. Yeah.
Isn't this the exact same thing as Frank Reich the year that the Philly went to Super Bowl?
No, Frank
actually, it's not. It's not because Frank Reich
quarterback. He then was successful with the Eagles as they were in the Super Bowl, but then he went on to be a head coach. I think this is just a guy who's had two. Really, this is, I think, what people like about Stitchin is that the Eagles' offense has continued to improve. Like their whole team has continued to improve. And the development of Jalen Hurts is undeniable. And I think even the people that were the Jalen Hurts detractors, the people that said he wasn't the dude, he wasn't this, are having to just say, man, this guy's fucking pretty good. And he's riding that wave.
He's good, but you can look at it and say the Eagles were substantially worse when they didn't have Jalen Hurts than they were. And granted, you're losing a great quarterback, but I mean,
no, what I'm saying is that he
gotta have the combo
with the Eagles' growth over the last 2 years. He's associated with Jalen Hurts' improvement over the last 2 years. And right now, the Philadelphia Eagles are a fucking juggernaut, dude.
Yeah. I'm just looking at what Taco Espresso said, you know. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, I wanted to. I gotta read super chats after this. To be fair, this was Will's finger at one point during the season.
Oh,
yeah, dude, it was just like.
Is that his left hand though? That's not his throwing hand, at least. Oh, pull it down. Take it down.
No, look at it. Look at it.
No, I've broken fingers, man. I have broken fingers. Have you guys ever seen this movie? Have you seen a movie, not the cartoon one? When I tell you the name, you're going to think the Disney one. Has anybody seen a movie that came out before that called Frozen? About the people that get stuck on the ski lift? All right, so my kid who never wants to hang out with us, my oldest son, He was like, every time we try to watch a family movie, that's like one way we can get everybody in a room. And if we can get him to watch something, it's like it's a miracle. Everybody will be together. And part of it is letting him pick the movie. So he goes, I got one. He said, I think you're going to like it. I'm like, he goes, it's called Frozen. I was like, that cartoon movie? He's like, no. And it's about these people that get stuck on a ski lift and the park closes for a week. And they're just like, they're up at the fucking top. And this dude jumps off. Like, he's like, I can do it. I can do it. And his legs break on impact. He looks like a banana peel if you if you put a banana out like that. I cringe, bro. Cringe. That finger, I've broken digits. I don't like people touching my fingers and my toes. Like, you might get punched in the
yeah, he was pretty hurt, but I mean, listen, if we're picking at number 9,
it's fucking awful.
You want to see it again? Oh, now I know what to know. Now I know how to threaten Tony. Whenever he keeps saying dumb shit or he keeps on calling me his internet wife, I'm gonna pull up the picture of that fucked up finger. I'm gonna make you look at it, dude. Look, let me read some of these super chats real quick so I don't forget. White Chocolate Espresso with the 199 says, Panther fans, stop cucking for Payton. I feel like he's probably talking to a few of us, but whatever.
Not all of us.
I mean, yeah, some of us. Brandon with the $2. Why is no other teams interviewing Steve Wilkes? And yeah, we talked about that too. That's he's only a name amongst Panther fans, and that's pretty much it.
This is what brought my question up about right here.
Yep. White Chocolate with the 499 says the Eagles are loaded with talent. I'd rather have someone who's done more with less, which is why I like Kafka and Wilkes. Fuck that lips, Payton. So
that's my son.
Now you're proud of him.
I denied it. He even knows how to draw my thoughts.
And then David Screws says, here's a secret. Stetson Bennett. Oh shit. Dude, I like Stetson. I just don't think that he's our future. But listen, we're gonna be talking about quarterbacks for months. Like, we are not going to be done talking about quarterbacks forever. Anthony Richardson, a lot of people are saying, hey, what, if we do stitching, could that be our very own Jalen Hurts? And he does have all the talent. In my mind, he's probably more physically talented than even Will Levis. The problem is he's only a one-year starter. He has not played a lot of football, and there's times when footwork, it gets really, really up and down, man. It's not consistent. In fact, a lot of people have even, I think this is kind of played out, but they call him Cam Newton. Like, that's his comparison. Big time arm talent, big time runner, but as a thrower, they said that his footwork is inconsistent. And I agree that was a overblown criticism of Cam, but whenever Cam would miss wild, it was normally tied to his footwork. And Richardson has a lot of that same thing about him. However, if you have a Shane Stitchen, maybe he's able to iron out some details and help further him along.
We've talked ad nauseum at this point about Sean Payton and trading for him, but G brought up this Lamar Jackson, which is interesting because I put out this short like 8 months ago. It wasn't that long.
Kill me with this, man.
4 or 5 months ago, you know what I'm saying? Because I had that position when we were talking about dream scenarios. I said, bring in Lamar, bring in Roman. Greg Roman. I did this little short, and now people are messaging me all the time. We're putting messages in the short going, well, Lamar don't even like Greg Roman. Well, that's a new development. That's a new development in this. Lamar and his whole situation with Baltimore, as more and more, I don't know if it's smoke or fire. Is there a true, real chance of Lamar being on another team other than the Baltimore Ravens? No. I don't think so. I think the franchise tag just gives them 100% of all the leverage, which is why the players don't want it. But I saw one tweet, guys, today that made me like that finger. And it was, this guy said this. He said, I might kill myself if Lamar Jackson is an Atlanta Falcon. I tweeted that guy, said, you might not have to kill yourself. He might kill you.
Right. People come after you.
He might kill us. But God, I know you guys saying this is that Lamar Jackson in the Panthers uniform seems like the most improbable thing in the world at some point. But good God, could he really be in our fucking division? Ugh.
No,
Dude, I'm not even terrified of Lamar like y'all are, man.
Well, why don't you go
I'm just
suck on
not.
Deshaun Watson's
I'm
things
just
and
not.
live,
You're
man?
talking about a guy that's 1-4 in the playoffs. Three
Man.
touchdowns
His
to 5
record is, like,
interceptions.
so much worse than your
He
boy.
throws
Deshaun
5
Watson.
interceptions in the playoffs. He has an injury history now. He's seemingly hurt all the time, every year. And we're supposed to give up, multiple first-round picks and pay him $45 million guaranteed every year? Fuck that, man.
Look,
Why would you
there's a
want to
reason
send our team like that?
Yeah, there's a reason Baltimore hadn't paid him yet. Well, like everybody's saying it's crazy, and I get it, but there's a reason they haven't paid him yet, and they know more about him than we do. I'm not saying he's not the guy; he doesn't deserve that money, but we don't know what it's like on the inside of that war room or what the inside of the room there, and what they talk with him about, and what they see that we don't see. Like, if he's as good as everybody thinks he is, there should have been no reason he shouldn't have been already signed. To me, that's a red flag. Something's wrong.
Okay, fair. I mean, it's fair. I mean, well, they did try to pay him 100.
But I can also easily see why Atlanta would want Lamar. That way he could be like the second coming of Michael Vick or whatever. Dude, if that happens, I hope that we crush him.
But Lamar and Vick don't really have very comparable stats, right? Wasn't Vick a way better thrower of the ball and much bigger?
No, Lamar is taller.
Tiny.
Lamar is
taller than Vick was?
Bro. Lamar is 6'2", 212 pounds. He is not small.
I thought he was smaller than that. I mean, I prefer to choose Kyler Murray, I guess.
212 listed right here.
Then why does he look like a Lego character out there playing?
Deshaun Watson in the NFL. He's more accomplished. Well, and Mike Vick was good, but he was left-handed, right? And I think he's my most hated player in the history of football.
Forcibly left-handed.
Forcibly.
Yeah, like he said that whenever he writes with a pen or whatever, or signs an autograph, he would always do it right-handed. But throwing the football, he made himself throw left-handed. He just always threw.
But LeBron James says that he's left-handed when he writes, but he shoots right-handed.
Well, there are instances where people do things that feel more natural. So I'm left-handed and I'm completely left-handed. Like I can't do anything right. You know what I mean? Like with any dexterity, I guess would be the right word. Or but some people go like this: is they shoot, like, say they right-handed, but they shoot like a golf club left-handed, which is just like it just feels better to them. You get forced. That means he just said this. He felt better throwing the football left-handed. The only people that were forced to do anything by the other hand were like old school. Like my grandpa was. He said he was originally left-handed, and the nuns in the Catholic school made him.
Yeah, they made him. I've heard stories like that. Well, Tua Tagovailoa, his parents did that to him. He's a right-handed guy, but they made him throw left-handed.
Why? That's
I don't
like
know.
I've ever heard. The whole world, as a
Mr.
left-handed person, the whole world is designed for right-handed people. So much so that I was watching a CSI episode like 25 years ago, and this guy, there was like this crazy murder, and they didn't know how to fucking solve it. And they, finally the brainy guy goes, "Oh, I got it." And he was like, "It wasn't a murder. It was a left-handed person using a chainsaw that was designed for a right-handed person. And it like mutilated him." And then they said something to the effect of like 500 people a year die or have significant injuries for using power tools that are designed for right-handed people. It always stuck in my brain. Wow. Every time I use a skill saw, folks, a skill saw has a port where it shoots the sawdust out.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always wondered, I never understood. I was like, every time I use this skill saw, I come out just covered in sawdust. And then somebody else I know uses it clean. I'm like, man, am I that dirt? And then it finally hit me.
Right.
It's designed for a right-handed person.
Yeah.
I think that
has never in their life been forced to be left-handed. I call faults on that.
But that's why it helps. Yeah, that's why it helps right there because the rest of the world is trained to be right-handed. That's why a left-handed pitcher is more valuable because you're looking at a different position, looking at the ball come out from a different position.
Okay.
In football, a right tackle is now your blind side, which is much easier to get than a left tackle. The ball coming out of your hand looks different
It's
for
Dave
a defender.
Gettleman telling us
Well,
you
and
you roll to a different side. No, these
don't
are all
dismiss them.
advantages.
Yeah,
these are all
don't
advantages.
dismiss them, Tony, because then
Yeah.
also the way the football, the way the football hits your hand when you're like the way the ball spins. No, right. The way the ball spins when it's coming out of a left hand versus coming out of a right hand is different. Also, the angle for
the receivers fucking hate it.
But also the defensive backs hate it too, because those angles
are a big advantage.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever. You know who does like it? The defensive backs hate it.
You know, that's why they say people who they punt a certain way too. Like they'll punt.
That's different. I agree with you. That Bill Belichick says that he likes a left-footed kicker because it throws everybody off. But it doesn't mean that defensive backs can't catch anyway.
True.
I mean, either way, dude.
Yeah.
I don't buy it.
To me,
it is.
How do we even get to Lamar from that? But yeah, no, dude, I don't want to hear any more about Lamar.
Right, Vic.
I don't want to hear any more about Lamar. I'm not going to entertain giving up 2 first-round draft picks and paying him $50 million guaranteed a year.
Would you rather give up 2 first-rounders for Lamar or 2 first-rounders for Sean Payton? I would do Lamar in a heartbeat.
If I had to do one of the two, I'd go Lamar.
You got the 2 choices. Give me Lamar.
Payton.
I'm keeping the money or keeping the pick. Choice, but
1 first round for Payton, 2 first rounders for Lamar. Which one you taking?
I'm not giving up.
Lamar has only won 1 playoff game. He's not comparable.
Can somebody tell me how many playoff games Deshaun Watson has won? And do you remember Cody won
Lamar? Why do you always have to bring up Deshaun Watson every time we bring up Lamar Jackson?
Because you were
not related.
He keeps that receipt in his back pocket.
They are old. They're so related, dude.
That receipt's in his wallet.
They're so related. They're so comparable, A. And B, I guarantee you that I think Deshaun's 1-2 in the playoffs or 1-3. Wow. Watson is 1-2. So he's only won 1 game too. So I didn't want to hear that. And don't tell me
that's not even fucking true. No, hold up.
Yeah, 1-2. Yeah. Oh, see, look, he can't even believe.
I think they had a bye one year and they won their
Watson
first
goes
game.
in his face. He goes, "That wasn't that." I know he didn't just do that on my face,
dude. They beat the Buffalo Bills the 1 year. Was the year that they lost to the Chiefs in the divisional round? See, he beat the Buffalo Bills 1 year in the playoffs. And was that the same year that they lost it? I'm about to look it up, y'all.
Yeah, look it up because I promise you only won 1 game. Let's go to the next call. The number is 252-228-5098. Boy, what a hard on for Deshaun Watson. Cody Lashley still has.
Hey guys,
better passer than Lamar.
This is JJ. Shout out Cody for always saying what's up, JJ. Honestly, I didn't really have much to say about the Panthers. Honestly, just wanted to say to everybody, like, comment, subscribe. You know, everybody should fuck with C3. You know, they're the best entertainers for this best team that we all love and support. You know, you should all come to Friday free falls. We could use a few extra people for the off season so we can come even stronger for next season. You know, build this fan base, should I say. I remember that one episode not too long ago. Tony was saying we should come up with like little slogans, like after a player's name, because like you always talking shit about CJ Henderson, and it was like how bad of a performance. I'm gonna come with something strong. I thought of something the other day and it slipped my mind, but you know, we should honestly try to come up with stuff like that. I thought that was honestly the coolest idea of trying to actually get a real slogan for this team, or at least another one that, you know, might be more up to date than the whole keep pounding, especially if this franchise is going to take another step forward, you know, depending on what we do. But I mean, like, back to what I was mainly saying. I love the podcast, you know. Shout out everybody there, Tony, Cody, Greg, and CK, you know. the whole gang. Hope all four of y'all are there having a great day, having a great Tuesday night. Hopefully y'all hit y'all prize picks this weekend. Keep going strong on that. Trust your gut. And use code C3. And yeah, keep powering this C3 Nation. You know, we all in this together.
Keep pounding. Shout out to give that man the applause, Tony. Dude, our prize picks promo code.
Oh, we're gonna. You know what? It's a good segue too.
No, dude. No, shout out to JJ. He makes some great points. Very supportive of Panther Nation. He's been on there every Friday, free for all. Yeah, shout out to JJ, man. There's a revamping the Carolina Panthers are going to be going through in the next couple of years.
Don't forget the C3 Panthers podcast is, like our caller said, sponsored by PrizePicks, and we're trying to hit some. I'm trying to hit some. I've been cooled off. But guess what, folks? You can go play daily fantasy football sports and go on your own heater. And here's a great way to start. They're going to give you right now this week, they're giving you a free square for Joe Burrow, or free entry, I guess you should say.
Joe Cool, baby.
Boy, take the cooler to heat you up right there. It's as cold as ice, but that's going to be fire when you use the promo code C3, and you, as a first-time depositor, get a 100% deposit match up to $100. And you know what? Your odds of making money on your first daily fantasy football play have gone up tremendously as you get the Joe Burrow free square. Let's see what happens if we play a little prize picks this week. Let's go ahead and take our free square. The way it works is you pick multiple players. You have to pick a minimum of 2. The more players that you place entries against their projected fantasy football projection, and the more you could potentially get paid out, up to 25 times your money. You put down $5 and you get like 250 or something, whatever 5 times 25 is, or 500 or whatever that may be. Let's do this. Say you put in 25 times your money at $10. That would be what? $2,500? Hell yeah. If you hit all of those on the flex pick. But you can take a little safer approach and just go 2 picks, get 3 times your money, 4 picks, 5 times your money. Don't hold me to the numbers, because I'm not good enough to remember the wins as much as I have mourned a couple of the losses as of late. But I've hit a 4 on a 5 and hit $50 10 times. That's what it is. 10 times your money. 4 picks cops you 10 times your money. Use the promo code C3 with PrizePicks. Let's drop onto these real quick. Joe Burrow is a must. How do we feel about Brock Purdy against the Philadelphia Eagles? I don't love that number. Jalen Hurts, I don't know if I love that number entirely because of how much he can run the ball. And I am concerned about the obviously how good the San Francisco 49ers defense is. And look at this, guys. Patrick Mahomes, 1 ankle injury cost him 80 yards. This dude is consistently projected at 300, 315 yards. This week you get Patrick Mahomes at 264.5 as they host the Cincinnati Bengals in the AFC Championship, but he is gimpy, folks. High ankle sprain, may not practice at all this week. Are any of these numbers popping off at you guys?
So go to the touchdowns, Tony. Scroll up. I'll give you a peek at pass rushing and receiving touchdowns. Christian McCaffrey at 0.5.
It feels like it's a guarantee every week.
Dude, you have to. That's brilliant right there. I would also look. And I would also look into 2 of the tight ends, either Kittle or Goddard. Those to me, last time I checked when I looked, they were.
This is a good one. But you know, being hurt.
Or you can also do the receiving yards. They're both pretty low. I think they're both at 45. Last time 45 and a half for both of them.
Goddard.
I
Kelsey,
can correct
that's
the
high.
picks tonight. I would also
go under on that.
Yeah.
T. Higgins, 54 and a half. I like that a lot.
Do his recent ones. Let me see his recent.
Yeah, he hasn't had giant games. Oh, he's been quiet as of late.
Oh, yeah.
Where has he been? Is he destined for a breakout though? What's the T. Higgins story, folks? Can Greg or somebody, can you guys Google, is T. Higgins injured?
No, he's not injured. Just Jamar Chase takes up a lot of receiving yards, and they got Hayden Hurst and Joe Mixon that they're feeding the ball. The Bengals have weapons, man. That's why.
They got Tyler Beard, but T. Higgins is the man, dude.
Yeah, he's only gotten 8 receptions in the last 3 games.
He's the number 1 wide receiver.
Yeah, 8 receptions in the last 3 games.
Maybe not over Jamar, but he is a number 1 wide receiver.
I like that. I think that feels like a number that people look at the past 3 games. You go, nah.
I would feel better about George Kittle. Yeah, I agree with White Chocolate than I would T. Higgins. No, I just put Kittle.
What's
Kittle. Look, you can do the touchdowns. You can do the touchdowns or the receiving. Yep.
I get nervous about Kittle if Mahomes is hurt. I guess that doesn't hurt if any comes in. Kittle's still a boss. Is that what you guys are saying? And where? Oh no, you guys are saying Kittle. I'm thinking Kelsey. What is Kittle's number? Nobody knows what Kittle's going to do every week. Where is he?
Yeah, he's been falling off.
Go up. Keep on.
Yeah, there he is.
Right there, right in the middle.
I don't know if God. How is that
more than I would T. Higgins? I would trust that more.
Oof. All right.
I got 2 of them.
1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna do the 5er this week. I gotta try to get a big win.
Well, didn't we say the prize for the 5 is no more than 4, right? Did you bet 4?
No, you can get is it 6 that you gotta do to get the 25?
Yeah, I think, but I'm not sure. I think the difference between 5 and 4 is nothing. So I don't. If that's the case, then I would just go with 4. But I'm not positive.
Good point. Let's see this. Let's do it right now. Let's see. I like clearly Joe Burrow on the more. Really, this is a 4 because we get free Joe Burrow. We like Christian McCaffrey. I like Goddard and say this one works. 4 out of 4 gets you 10 times your money. Let's say if we just added one real quick. What does that do? Same.
Yeah. So there's really no point going 5.
Play, though. You get a flex play if you get a 5.
Do y'all think I'm stupid on one of mine? I put Jalen Hurts at less than 234 passing yards.
I mean, I could see it being a lower game. I don't love the passing yards of the over for him because he could open it up on the ground a little bit. You just don't know how he's going to get his 300, and that defense is pretty good. He could be scrambling more. Let's see if we can find a good one in here. Maybe we can find 2 gems really quick. See, Jamar Chase 7 catches a lot.
How many are you doing?
Now I'm just saying we could either stick here with 4 and go power play. We could go 5 and you get still could just do this. It would be safer to do that, wouldn't it?
Just go play.
Dude,
just do
you
it.
sound like me. I don't know if I love the freaking Kittle one. I need some loot though. Let's hit it. Prize.
No, you can only do the promotion once, or a maximum of $25 on the promotion.
Did I already do it? Did it say no?
You must have.
You must have something else already in. Do you have any other?
You must have a previous.
I do. I probably did something out of anger.
I did the same. I did the same thing. I've got 2 of them.
Hey, what is PrizePicks going to do? Well, not PrizePicks. They don't worry about it. Whenever they do this Taco Tuesday thing where they give you this like burrow here with 1 yard, and Burrow gets injured in the first play of the game and doesn't have a passing yard, or,
Then he
or
doesn't
gets injured
get
for the well, right? That's what I'm saying. But how crazy is it going to be? Because I guarantee you, almost everybody takes that because it's almost a guarantee.
Ooh, look at this.
Hey man,
Yeah.
it's the risk,
Yeah.
Ooh, will San Francisco have to punt the ball 4 times? Ugh, that's a really hefty number. I don't know if I love that. Kittle, here's your Kittle and Goddard.
94 receiving.
47 and each.
So one of them could get that and you win. That's combined,
Right.
right?
It's like they have to get that together. That's not terrible.
That's 45 yards apiece, 47 yards apiece. Not. That's right. What they call them at 45 and a half.
You know what? I'm going back to my baby. I think T. Higgins has a big game this week. So I'm going to hit the more. We're going all after it.
You know, he went to a really good college, that guy, T. Higgins.
Is it somewhere in South
Tell me
Carolina?
more.
Did he?
Yeah.
He came to a real good college.
I mean, he, Death Valley, South Carolina, God's country, Clemson Tigers,
Never heard of him.
Dude, shut up.
That's PrizePicks, folks. Promo code C3. Use it. A lot of people love it. We love it. Can we go to the next call, guys? The number's 252-228-5098. Let's get into it.
What's up, C3? It's Anthony from Charlotte. Just calling in. Not much news right now because we still don't know who the coach is. Hope everyone's having a good Tuesday. So really, I made my stance clear on Sean Payton, and I was thinking about this, guys. Even if we don't get Sean Payton and whoever is the next head coach, I still really, I really don't see Tepper drafting a quarterback. Like I truly see him trying to, he really wants to win now. And I could truly see him trying to go after, be hungry again for one of these free agent guys. Like last offseason, he tried getting Watson, Stafford, and there's even rumors that he was interested in Cousins. So I truly think he thinks this team is only a couple pieces away. Now, I hope that all those McCaffrey picks we got turn out to be good players. Because if not, it's gonna look like we gave away McCaffrey for free, man. Because they aren't first round picks; they're later round picks. And as a Panthers fan, we all know that we do not have a good history with later round picks. So there's a lot to discuss right now in terms of the draft coming up. But yeah, I really don't see us taking a quarterback, to be honest. I think Tepper's going to go after one of these teams or one of these quarterbacks like a Derek Carr or someone to that caliber. Like that's truly what I believe. Hopefully, though, the next coach will be able to develop the quarterback, whether that's Shane Steichen or even, Steve Wilkes, So we'll see, man. It's still a head coaching search. So, but yeah, man, you already know. Anthony from Charlotte. Let me know y'all thoughts on the coach and the quarterback situation. C3, you're the best. Anthony from Charlotte, once again, keep motherfucking pounding, boys.
Keep pounding.
Hell yeah.
I don't know. Like, do the options? Obviously, once upon a time this season, Tony said it would be malpractice for us to just start next season with just Sam Darnold and Matt Corral. But what that basically means is you either
Or Matt Corral, I think, only.
Well, I mean, nah, don't change up now.
Don't
You
ruffle his
realize
feathers,
if you
Tony.
start the
I said that
season
because
with
I didn't
Sam
say that we're gonna
Darnold and
re-sign
Matt
Sam
Corral,
Darnold.
that it would be
I would have never said
malpractice. Yes,
I
oh my
said
God,
going
whatever.
into the season with just Matt Corral would be malpractice. Because
My
we don't
my
have
point
Steve
is,
Rimmer on the
if you're gonna bring on another quarterback to the team, then you're gonna have free agent guy, or you're gonna have
I
to
like Carr.
draft one in the first round. And if you're going to draft one in the first round, again, I don't want to do this thing where we're forcing ourselves to reach on whatever quarterback is there. There could be a really good player that we end up passing on just because we have convinced ourselves that we must go quarterback. But then it opens it up to all the other different options you have. Is it Derek Carr? You know, I don't even know who else is.
I don't. Tell me a name that's better than that one.
Than Derek Carr?
Yeah, I mean, like, is that if you could go out there
Wow.
a reasonable name, like, I mean, no Lamar, no, we're gonna get somebody like Tom. I mean, I guess you could even say Tom Brady, but I mean, think about this: is not a crazy trade, just a realistic veteran option. I think the names out there probably are Daniel Jones, Carr. I always forget if it's David or Derek, whichever the fucking one is. And Geno Smith. I'm trying to think if there are any other names of that fits the kind of mold that you haven't already walked out there, like Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield.
But do you really want another Carr on the team? Like, remember last time we had a Carr on this team?
No, it's not really. I mean, it's so fun. I mean, I know I hated. Actually, I didn't. I don't hate. I felt so bad for him. The dude got sacked 140 times in 2 years.
God. Yeah,
He
does suck.
Guess he should have moved his ass.
Nah, man. Like, listen to this. Well, maybe, I guess. Maybe you have a chance. The thing is that as an expansion team, he was the first round. He was the first pick. And he came in there. He was actually productive through the air. But
expansion team.
Weren't they?
He wasn't. No, he wasn't with us like in our like early 2000s.
Oh, when he went to Houston.
Oh. Okay, I got you.
Like,
I was like, no,
he was the number one pick. He had some productivity. I think him and Andre Johnson maybe were picked in the same year. I might be wrong on that, but he actually had some volume of productivity. It's the problem is that if you look up the quarterback who has been sacked the most times in a single season, it's his name. And then guess what? If you look up the guy who's been sacked the second most times in a single season, it's him as well. This motherfucker got demolished, so much so that I think he mentally, like, I'm really concerned that when heavy overweight people walk in a room, he just pees his pants. Like, I mean, there is the
tackles just destroying him.
Like, I mean, the poor guy's got PTSD. Yeah. That's what I would say. So, like, I know it's easy. I joked on him about 2 gloves. He wore the 2 gloves and this and that, and he was broken by the time he came to Carolina. That was silly. Yeah. The brothers over there.
That was before my time as a fan. I'm just saying, Derek Carr as a player, he's too inconsistent, man.
Okay,
he's inconsistent. I've seen this dude. I have seen this dude
more inconsistent than Sam Darnold do. No.
I mean, I've seen him throw so many. He's going to be more expensive. How about that? Sam can throw a much cheaper interception than Derek Carr could. Okay. And I've seen Derek Carr.
That's a fair argument.
I've seen Derek Carr choke in too many big time games and big time moments for me to be excited about this guy.
I agree.
At this point, I would rather get excited.
I'm just saying, who's the best option out of the person that fits that bill?
That's it. But I mean, that's it.
For the long haul, but you think positions you to tutor a new quarterback to get you in a good. I think his name has got to be at the top. People are going to say Geno, which I think the Seahawks are going to have trouble moving on from after this year. I think they're going to beg him to come back at a discount because they gave him the shot and this and that. He feels cool. I think they would say that. I mean, really, is like, are you going to take Carr or Daniel Jones? Do you say Daniel Jones' mobility sets him apart? Some people say Carr has the best arm, like one of the best arms in the league. Like, he can really fucking chunk it.
He has
maybe strongest. Yeah.
Well, and not even strongest. He has a big arm. He definitely does.
Why?
Yeah, but he's not overly mobile. His stature behind the pocket. To me, Sam Darnold represents a better physical skill set than Derek Carr, and yeah, I think he'd be cheaper.
Okay,
White
I think
Chocolate
that's a fair argument.
White Chocolate Special will not shut up about this last super chat. Someone look up Lamar's second and Trevor's second year. I have no idea how that's relevant to anything, but appreciate
When
you.
he's saying is this,
I'll look it up here in a second. Yeah.
you talk
And
shit
then-
about Lamar, and Lamar is far more accomplished than all these people that you fucking gush about, bro.
Ugh.
He's not going to be better than fucking Trevor Lawrence. I don't give a shit, dude. I'm not about the cop for Lamar. Nah, not at all. Locks Main with the $2.
Cody is the best person about making a decision and dying on it.
Yeah.
Dying on that.
I mean, there's no, yeah. I mean, look, there is a difference in skill set, and I just think that
There's
one's
a difference in skill set. Oh shit!
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
right.
there's a
Is
difference
that
in what
Lamar
they're
is
capable
far
of
more
doing.
talented than Trevor Lawrence.
Lamar is faster than Trevor Lawrence. That's what he is.
Can throw it farther.
No, it can't.
Yes,
Give me a
oh,
fucking
I
break.
bet $100.
No,
Y'all have to refresh my memory.
How would we even prove this? By the way, Locks
Guess
Man
what?
says
I bet $100.
Sean Payton
It's
number
crazy.
1, Steve Wilkes number 2, and Frank Wright number 3. Appreciate it, Locks.
Hey, Cody, real quick, I just want to say you said Carr was before your time, and I want to ask you guys because I can't really remember. Was it Carr or was it Jimmy Clausen that they were so bad that Carolina only threw the ball like 3 times
That
the
was
entire
Clausen.
game? Was it Clausen? Okay.
Or he was the guy that we just like. He played more games for us. Carr was came in as a backup that had to come in on short notice, I think, or something like that.
By the way,
think
Trevor Lawrence has
like
won
way
just as many playoff games as fucking Lamar Jackson. So
I mean, has he
kiss
won
my
the same
ass on
amount
that
of
one.
MVPs?
Only 2 years in the NFL. He just
How
got
about
Doug
division
Peterson as his head
championships?
coach.
How about
Lamar's
division
had the
championships? He won
same
the
coach
same?
for 4 years, dude, and he's injury prone. Dude, I won't hear this shit.
We
Come on,
know
here.
Trevina Lawrence is your girlfriend.
I already
Cody
converted
and
Greg.
Trevina sitting in
I
the
can-
truth.
You're such a loser.
You haven't
I
converted
already
me, but you haven't converted me, but I am looking. I'm definitely. It definitely caught my attention. Let's put it that way. Trevor Lawrence, I might be eating a lot of crow with that guy. He might be pretty damn good.
He's
Nah, you were
okay.
saying earlier
No,
that
you know what it
I
is?
converted
He just doesn't get
Pretty
rattled.
damn good.
For a rookie quarterback to throw 4 interceptions in the first half and be down as much as he was and win that game means a lot.
It helps when you're playing the
poise means a lot.
Chargers, who always fucking crumble.
I
Who
mean,
has it right?
they're an NFL team.
Lawrence can pass
Okay,
way
the
better
playoffs.
than Lamar, and he can
It's
win
not
games
true.
with
You
Lamar.
guys believe that. It's not actually true, though.
No, it is true.
People believe that because they've heard the hype. Lamar has become a much more accomplished passer than people give
Yes.
credit for.
Yes.
He's
So,
good,
that's
but
fine.
he's
That's
also
fine.
not your proto. It's okay to say that he's not your prototypical.
You're right.
That's
He's
fine.
better than your prototypical quarterback.
He's
How about this?
not.
We'll go around the
Just
horn.
as a
And
pure
when I say go
quarterback,
around the horn, we're not going to ask Cody and we're not going to ask myself. If we were in the backyard
Kevin,
and
I
we had
blame
to
you
pick-
for this shit.
and we had to pick teams, CK, you had to pick a quarterback as first pick, and there's only 2 quarterbacks to pick from.
Yeah,
No
between Lamar
draft
and
picks.
Trevor.
Yeah, and only you and Greg get to answer it because you know what I think and you know what Cody thinks.
That's tough, man.
He's taking
I
a
just
long
feel like
time.
Trevor has a bigger upside, so I'm going Trevor Lawrence.
Hey,
Honestly, the question for me would have to be who else is he playing with because I think that matters for both those players. But I think I agree with CK. I think the ceiling is higher for Trevor. Okay, I don't want to say ceiling is higher. It's like Cody said, it's a different skill set. I think that Trevor is a better thrower of the ball than Lamar. Not that Lamar's bad, but Lamar is better on the ground. So it's
But my question
Let's still go with Trevor.
where we can start to maybe bring history into this conversation. How long in the history of mobile quarterbacks, how long have their careers lasted?
Mm-hmm.
not
Exactly.
very long.
Let's not draft Steve's who was
Anthony
Steve
Richardson?
Young. Steve Young. Fuck Steve Young.
Are you talking about the one person that you can put on that list?
John Elway, would you
Yeah,
consider
right. You mentioned
John Elway
Steve
was not.
fucking Young. That's how far you have to go
Randall
back.
Cunningham, Cam Newton?
Cam Newton had less than a 10-year career. He really had
Guess
seven.
what? So
he
is
had
Lawrence.
7
So
maybe good years of. But
I
I'm
wanna know
saying the
this.
history
What's more
of pocket
appealing about-
passers as opposed to mobile quarterbacks, the history of their careers tend to last longer for the people who are good passive pockers or pocket passers, if I can speak. And so I that's where I now, it's not to say Lamar can't be a pocket passer, but I will say he came into this league with a little bit of a I don't know. I would say an arrogance in my mind at the very beginning, because when people were questioning whether he was going to risk himself getting hurt because he was a mobile quarterback, he said, "I've played football my entire life. I know how to not take a hit." Like every person in this NFL has not played football their entire life.
Wrong.
What do you mean he's been hurt? Like
But
this
not
is
because he got hit.
because
Again, like Cam, like the injuries have come in different ways, I would say.
Sure, but
I want to know this. Do you guys like Trevina Lawrence more because he's the only girl in the room, or do you dislike Trevor Lawrence? Jamal,
See how you're not even talking about football? You have nothing to say.
And
You have
I'm
nothing
not
to say about football.
Yeah. I'm not defending Trevor Lawrence's looks. I still think he looks like a girl. I'm agree with that. But
looks like that dude from Days
or Hans, yeah. But I think you have to put less talent around Trevor Lawrence to get the same product you would around Lamar Jackson.
You're crazy.
I think Trevor Lawrence can do more with less than Lamar can do. I think Lamar has to have a specific set of people around him to be successful. I think Trevor Lawrence can do that with anybody around him. I think everybody else
Lamar has to run a very specific offense.
Lamar ain't had
you
no
have to have a
talent
Greg
around
Roman
him.
style. You have to be running quarterbacks all the time in order to get the defense to play zone coverage, because it doesn't throw against man that well.
He's had a fantastic coach. He's had one of the best tight ends in the league his whole career. Like,
all right, we're going to move on to the next conversation, but I think that a lot of this is presupposed on the fact that people think and been told that Trevor Lawrence was an exceptional prospect, and then people are brainwashed into thinking that Lamar was a prospect that needed so much work. And then those narratives fucking infiltrate the conversation so much. And I just think it's false. I think that Lamar has exceeded every expectation.
I don't think anybody debates that.
Given me a bunch of fucking excuses for Trevina
But how
Lawrence.
could you say exceeded every expectations? He's
won
been
the
playoffs.
MVP a second year, bro.
Yeah, okay. What has he done in big games? No, in the biggest games, in the biggest moments, does he show up and win football?
What did Trevor Lawrence do? He had one playoff win. What did he do in the last game?
He beat he won his first playoff game ever.
He couldn't beat
By the way, look at Lamar Jackson's first playoff.
Gimpy ass Gimpy.
I'm pretty sure he wasn't playing against Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes wasn't defending his passes, so that's Patrick Mahomes' injury doesn't.
Well,
really
still, it does matter. It's the big game.
Yeah, but that's a technicality. I hate when people say that. When people say, "Oh, Brady beat Favre" or "Brady beat Manning," it's like, no, he didn't. Brady beat Manning's defense.
But what
it didn't?
Big game.
Trevor Lawrence made it further
Trevor Lawrence
this year.
that much more accomplishment on other than college.
Let me do this. Let me break this down. Let's forget about accolades as far as an MVP, because I think that could also be skewed based on who. There's an argument that if you look at the history of the players that year, that Lamar Jackson wasn't the best quarterback in the league, right? But you add his rushing and all that stuff, it obviously changes the narrative slightly. So my question to you, Tony, is what is it about Lamar Jackson that makes you so focused on being willing to give away future draft picks, the ability to potentially be able to sign free agents because of the contract we would have to give him? What about him makes you believe that he is going to be able to take a team to the next level when they haven't been able to do that with him without having to pay him yet?
He can run real good.
Oh
No, I'm
my
honestly
You
asking. I'm asking
fucking
just
are not my friend no more, Cody. You have
Come
turned
on,
your
real
back
fast.
on our
It's a
own
legit question, though.
podcast.
Yeah.
No, you turned your back on your own kind. You sound like
Come
someone
on,
who
real
said
fast.
Derek Anderson would be better for the Carolina Panthers. I will tell
Oh,
you
don't put that
exactly
dumb
what it
shit
is,
on me.
Cody. Is that I meant Cody CK? I'll tell you. Is first of all, I'm just giving you the straight up option,
Sure.
and I'm still considering Lamar because I believe he has been a crazily dynamic quarterback who has made a lot. He's been the guy. He reminds me many other ways, I guess, of what Cam did for my life, which is says this is I don't care who's hurt. I don't care what our offense, I don't care who's around us. We got Cam, we got a chance. I felt Lamar has done that in droves and arguably more consistent to some people than even Cam did while he was in the league. Now, here's the thing. What makes me willing to do that is ultimately living in a land that you have a quarterback you believe in. And as much as Cody Lashney in here believes that Trevor Lawrence is supposedly head and shoulders above Lamar, is that I just think he's shown that he's got it. He's got
Like
the it, whatever that is that Mahomes got, whatever it is that Allen got, whatever, it's the factor. And I think that he is just got a specialness that you believe that Cody believes that Trevor Lawrence innately already has, that he just hasn't seen come to fruition. I think we've seen it from Lamar. So I don't know how much but I would straight up pick Lamar today in a football game if I was drafting my team over Trevor Lawrence.
All right. So the reason I asked those questions is because we have 5 years of history on Lamar Jackson, right?
Yeah.
So the
Pretty
one
good, too.
year he had 1 year of over 100 QBR quarterback rating, and that was his MVP season. He didn't even exceed 3,500 yards. He was at 3,127 yards. Okay. That's the most yards he's ever thrown as a quarterback in the NFL. Now, why that's concerning if I'm a Lamar Jackson fan
How
is
many
because
yards you say?
31, almost 30, a little over 3,100 is the most yards he has thrown in the NFL in a season. And that was his best year. Okay. Now that's again, to go back, the concern with that is that's not a lot. And he's not going to be athletic for his entire career, right? He's not going to be as athletic as he is now.
3,100, you said, right?
3,127 total yards. That's all that he threw for. Now we can talk about everything else, but right now that's what I'm focusing on. Now, what is more concerning?
About interceptions? Do you not count in interceptions, yards per attempt?
He had 6 interceptions that year.
Games.
He had 6 interceptions that year on 15 games, and that was when there were 16 games in the season.
That was a great year. He had
401 attempts. 401 attempts. So he was
the 2 best seasons, the second season for both of these guys. All right, continue. These are the stats for year 2 for both of them.
Okay. And so, is that comparing the two?
Yeah, this is their exact. This is year 2.
Sure.
For each, their best season, right? Is Lamar Jackson was 13-2. Trevor Lawrence was 9-8. So hey, just put that out. You can make all the caveats you want. Look at this: 401 attempts. Look at the completion percentage. 66. The completion percentage is virtually the same.
Yeah, so it's irrelevant.
No, don't say virtually the same. Trevor threw almost damn near 200 more attempts and still had a better completion percentage.
And only 2 more interceptions, by the way.
Yeah, that's my point.
Trevor yes, you can better completion percentage is virtually the same. It's an average.
He got more yards.
Say that this is that the complete look is that he basically also, if you don't want to compare that, then you can't say that Trevor Lawrence's 1,000 more yards matter because he had 100 more attempts. No, they both had a 66% completion rate.
Right. Sure. So even Jackson threw more, but he technically should have had the same thing.
And fuck off.
Let me let me at
this
least
is where you're looking at is the yards. CK said the yards.
hang in there with me. I wasn't done expressing my concerns beyond that. Okay. So going beyond that, now what we need to focus on, because let's be real about it, that's 4 years ago. That was his number 4 years ago. He had a decent year the year after that. He threw for less yards, more interceptions. And then this past 2 years have been suboptimal. He has played in only 12 games because of injuries on both of those seasons. So now we're seeing a very similar trajectory to Cam Newton with the injury history, except for it's happening a lot quicker with Lamar Jackson. Now we're talking about that this year, or I'll go last year because I think it's more indicative of it's a little bit more fair. He had a similar 64% completion percentage. He only had 16 touchdowns to 13 interceptions. Okay.
Their whole team was injured last year, if you remember that.
So if you
now
you have the caveat.
Talk about Lawrence having a bad year last year. They literally they had like 27 injuries.
So Trevor Lawrence in his second year is on an all-star team.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if you're going to use that argument, that's what you got to say. Trevor Lawrence not an all-star
I'm
team.
saying this is that this is the touchdown decrease and the success decrease is not just his play.
Sure.
Entirely.
And it might not be, but it's
his
also
yards went up from the year before. They won a lot more games the year before, right? So his yardage went down, his touchdowns went down, but that also could be. All right, I'm listening.
He's just been on a downward trajectory since that. Okay. It has not been.
And that's a fair point.
Like he had the one MVP season, and then every year it's a step down, a step down, a step down, a step down, right? That's for 3 consecutive years. We've seen Lamar Jackson not be a game changer for his team. And now we've talked about his contract situation coming into play. You talk about all of those things, and then you have to talk about the fact that we had to question his leadership this year because of decisions potentially that he's making, whether he's deciding he's not healthy or he is healthy, right? Patrick Mahomes has a high ankle sprain, which, by the way, most every player in the NFL would be sitting out.
Do not say he's already got his $300 million contract over whatever it is, 30 years or
exactly.
And the fact that he's still playing,
he can go out there.
He's still playing,
but he already got paid. He already got paid. If his fucking foot falls off, he gets his money. Lamar is not. That's not the same.
Let me ask you a question, Tony.
But I understand that there are question marks about the way he's handled his contract.
I disagree with
that, but I don't think.
And as a passer, you're jumping over my criticism of him is that he is not an elite passer. And if he is, he has not yet proven himself to be outside of an offense where they're running him fucking 20 times a game. Trevor Lawrence's style of quarterback is more sustainable to a long-term future than a Lamar Jackson. And he's not even a very big guy. He's kind of thin. He's put on some weight, but CK is right. The lifespan is different for the style of quarterback.
And I think that, I feel like your thought process of Patrick Mahomes is playing because he's already gotten paid, right, is the opposite of what it should be. Mm-hmm. It's like what is the biggest criticism of Lamar Jackson is he can't win the big games. So what you're going to do is you're going to sit out of the big games when you have an opportunity to prove that you can do the things that you're saying that you're able to do. Mm-hmm. Like those are two. So it's like if I go to work and I sit here and say I want a raise, but we don't know if we want to give you a raise because your performance here is suffering. You might be really good in other places, but your performance here is suffering. So I just don't show up at work the next day.
Right.
Well, you're also making a comparison to that is analogous, I guess is the word, because there are also plenty of people that could do that, whatever job is, and whatever that hypothetical job is.
Same with quarterback.
There are not a lot of people that can do the job of an NFL quarterback. I would like to point out this is Lamar Jackson in his best season had more passing touchdowns that year than Deshaun Watson did in his best season.
Right.
So what about that?
Sure.
Look,
I mean,
the
that's
only
a
thing
fair stats. And I'm not saying that the difference. Like, you heard my hesitation when I first said this.
I mean,
right?
I think
It
those
was-
are fair criticisms, more about the way he's handled his contract, the way
just a
his
pattern at this
injury
point.
has had. I think injuries. I
Mhm.
think the decline. I think or kind of the downward trajectory rather than the upward. And I think the way he's handled this contract, I think, are all fair criticisms. I just think, too, I would be cautious about crowning other people just because they haven't had the opportunity to decline yet.
I think
You know what
we
I'm
have
saying?
been
I
more
just
than
think we're
critical
all-
of
I
Trevor
think-
Lawrence. Yeah.
I have.
Yeah, I mean, we all on the panel outside of Cody have been very critical of Trevor Lawrence. And we're not at the point where we're crowning him, but it is hard to ignore the jump from year 1 to year 2, and you see that similar with Lamar. Now, we might have more answers next year with him having a consistent and a full off season with Doug Peterson, having had a year under the belt. And them having
Playing
the
in the
opportunity,
shittiest division, arguably, other than ours in football.
right? And so you're going to have them be able to go out and start stacking up on talent. I think the Jaguars have a bright future. They're going to be the NFC or AFC South champions for at least the next 3 or 4 years. Because I just don't see any of these guys in that division competing.
I like the trending up argument. I think you've made some fair points about Lamar Jackson. Let's go to the next call. The numbers 252-228-5098. When I hear your thoughts about the coaching status, who do you want? Sean Payton out? You trying to go with would you call him the Fourth Reich? Ugh, so terrible. You can't say that. You get canceled for that. I don't know what you're
trying to get us canceled.
I just watched that show Hunters. I'm telling you guys, gotta watch Hunters. It's incredible. Fucking incredible. The number's 252-228-5098.
Hey, it's White Shark Espresso. Tony, I heard you talking to another fan who said, if Lamar goes to Atlanta, I think I might kill myself. Listen, I'm a big defender of Lamar. I think he's a way better passer than people think. He has a 63 completion percentage. But I do not want to trade for him because of the contract and everything. But just think of it this way, yo. The Saints right now are in cap hell. Just cap hell. So imagine if the Falcons trade for Lamar and it doesn't work out. They're going to be in cap hell too. 2 teams in our division who are just stuck in shitty cap hell. That's going to be fucking amazing.
More reason to
I
hire Sean
wouldn't
Payton.
even worry, about Lamar. I think he's.
Listen to me. I got to read.
Yeah, like I said, I'm a big defender of him, but yeah, that would be amazing if it didn't work out. Both of them in cap hell. Anyway, that's all I got. Fuck Sean Payton.
Give me what is that say? God, what did Joey always say? I always love it when he used to say. Look, like he said, think about what he's saying, and then we get Sean Payton and we become the bad boys and we go and injure Lamar on a bounty gate and then just take over the South because they're all fucked at that point. Boom. That's why. 252-228-5098. You guys are look. I think there are tremendous. I just like the idea in theory of having Lamar, but again, when you start putting in all the components of the money, the trade, then it becomes more common. Then it's not just going into the backyard and picking the player you want to play.
Right.
And the money part at this point, even the look is, how about this? Can we pull up that Brandon? Can you find the Brandon Bean tweet real quick about celebrating the Joe Burrow? Like, oh, well, I mean, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I mean, fucking pretty cool combination on their rookie deal. I just don't want to suck bad enough to get the next Jamar Chase. They're about to walk into the land of having to pay their quarterback $1 bazillion. Right? And that is the dynamic that changes things. I know people want to get the rookie on the rookie contract because then you get to build the team around them. But it also presupposes success in a reasonable timeline, right? That's the other thing, is that you're right now at the end of now having to pay guys like Lamar, pay guys like Josh Allen, pay guys like Kyler Murray. You see why he did what he did? You understand it? We left the tweet, Cody, but what did Ken Dorsey, what did my trainer say, as Jameis Winston said? He said, always be prepared. Where does it hurt, Jameson? Pain everywhere. Oh, actually, that's the other veteran quarterback I think people in the NFL should be kicking the tires on. Did we lose the tweet, Cody?
No, I didn't know you still wanted.
We never found it. I mean, I didn't know what he said. I know, and then you went to the Lakers.
Yeah, I thought you were talking. Yeah, I forgot I was sharing. I was trying to look for if Luka. Anthony in the chat put Luka's the best player in the NBA. So I'm like, oh, is Luka doing something crazy? Let me check the trending.
You don't even like the NBA. All right. Well, I guess you guys don't care what Brandon Bean said about Josh Allen.
I have it right here.
Throwing the shade on Joe Ice Cold Burrow. He said this is in reference to the Bengals roster. If the Bills can emulate that, he said they right now are on the advantage of a rookie QB contract. They had some lean years without getting too much into their build. I don't want to suck bad enough to have to get Jamar Chase. When was Jamar Chase picked? What pick?
Early.
It was like the early.
Was it top?
It was like top
4?
5, I think.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? But he also has the advantage of a rookie quarterback and going and getting Stephon Diggs, because he had a rookie quarterback. I feel like this is a little, and maybe this is out of context. Maybe we don't have the right context, but at what point, I guess, will McDermott and the Bean regime start to come under fire for not being able to get under
They're
the hump?
already under fire, dude.
Wow.
Buffalo Bills fans are ready to get Sean McDermott out.
Yeah, Jamar was the 5th pick in that draft.
All right, let's go to the next call. The number is 252-228-5098.
Hi, what's up, fellas? This is Cody. I don't know if y'all got my message. My cat called last week. But anyway, what's up, Tony?
What's up, my man?
Greg, Cody, and you too, CK. What's going on? First of all, Cody, what did I tell you? Stop wearing that damn old man polo shirt. I'm agreeing with Tony. What Tony said a few weeks ago when he said you in that old man polo shirt, you just like the old.
Why you hating on my polos, Carl?
Told you, Cody. You lose all your knowledge wearing that damn shirt. Take that fucking shirt off. You crazy. You sound crazy. Talking about some Lamar Jackson is not this or that. Seriously, Cody? And then you call him injury prone? Really? But
he is.
You're the same guy snapping hard for Matt Corral injury prone. Matt Corral, who was injury prone in college.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
Did I say that? And he showed last year he was injury prone to start his career. Get that. Come on, Cody. Wake up. Take that shirt off, Cody. Matter of fact,
I'm
Cody,
gonna keep my shirt on.
Take that damn polo shirt, old man shirt, and throw that shit in the garbage and burn it. Light it on fire.
It's all that shirt.
Because when you wear that shirt, I don't know who the hell you are. You're not that reasonable, knowledgeable Cody that I know. All right? And for everybody who wants Sean Payton, really? Come on, guys. The guys that shitted on us, and we want him to come here? Nah, that's a negative. No. And I like Anthony Richardson. If we can't get none of the other guys, I'll take Richardson over, what's his name, Will Levitt? However you pronounce his name. I would definitely take Richardson over him. So, yeah. Nice discussion, guys. Oh, CK, if these people don't start hitting that like button, do your thing. Your subscriber shame on their ass. Until next time. Oh, before I go, Cody, take that damn shirt off. Until next time, keep coming.
Why is everybody hating on my shirts, man? What the fuck? They're not even polo shirts. Okay, they're just nice flannels. And number two, my mama, damn it.
I love flannels.
Dude, look.
I love them, but they're not nice.
Dude, flannels are the shit.
They're
Yes,
worn.
they are.
They're worn looking
You're
brand
an
new.
old curmudgeon, dude. What do you know about fashion, you old man? What was it like during the Great Depression? Maybe I'll ask you sometime, and you can tell me what it was like. Dude, my shirts are fire. How about that? Carl D. Lamar Jackson is injury prone. How about that? And yeah, my shirts are fly as fuck. That's all I got to say. That's the only thing there is to say.
Well, he set you up. CK. He set you up.
Sure did. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, I have one thing to say to all of you people who have come in here and decided, I haven't hit that like button yet. I haven't hit that subscribe button yet, but I'm going to come in here and enjoy the content without any payment whatsoever. It's free. So, subscriber shame.
$156 viewers watching, 82 thumbs up. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell for every single time I go live. I do not look like Scott Stapp from Creed. Damn it, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. White chocolate. I've also been told Chris Cornell from Soundgarden, which I'll take that too. Yeah. But hey, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell. I mean, we don't take any weeks off, man. We're here year around for your Panther needs. So hit that like, hit that subscribe. Consider becoming a super fan.
Hey, what's going on, man? It's got this C-Dog 1983. Whenever you come in here, make sure you like, make sure you got that subscribe to this goddamn great content.
Join in.
You know what I'm saying? But man, I don't know what's going on with these motherfucking cat calls, man. That's one reason I'm calling, man. Like, I used to have the cat calls, goddamn, like I like to go to YouTube. It'd be like got that cat calls 1, 2, and 3 or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I like to goddamn watch the show sometimes, go back and watch it, rewatch it, or whatever. If I'm at work, I work 2 jobs, you know, and listen, you know, look at the goddamn chat or whatever, and listen to the show, you know, whatever I'm missing, what's going on and everything. You know, that's just the goddamn cat calls, whatever going on with the cat calls, I don't know. And I got that cash app only a couple of dollars a night. You know what I'm saying? Whoever got that $20 can get whoever cash app joint I got at the bottom of the screen. But anyway, shout out to goddamn C3 motherfucking GOAT. Shout out to the whole C3 podcast. Goddamn, everybody keep talking about this goddamn quarterback shit. Maybe got goddamn Matt Corral. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why motherfucker want to keep goddamn going different from another quarterback dick every goddamn season. You know what I'm saying? We got this young motherfucker. He got a quick release. You know what I'm saying? When Tepper just got to hire a fucking coach, man. You know what I'm saying? About winning a motherfucking quarterback. But what? You see, you got the JC Horn go down. Shit, boy, we can't do shit out there. Yeah, Dante Jackson. I don't even like Dante Jackson. I want to trade him because we overpaid him and he little. You know what I'm saying? But maybe he's just another goddamn DB. And just a real goddamn coach. If you can, you need to go get goddamn Cam Smith from goddamn South Carolina. Then goddamn, we got 2 second-round picks and you need to go get that goddamn middle linebacker from goddamn Oregon, the Hawaiian dude. You know what I'm saying? We got to be making some noise. So we got to tighten up on the defense. Keep making this defense stronger. You got that Matt Corral. So we probably got that and grab one more receiver. If anything, later round. Man, shit, I need offensive linemen and got them and muscles on defense. Shit. But Shit, man. Whenever you come in here, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to this great content. The boys always put out great content every Tuesday, every goddamn Friday. Then they got the game simulations on goddamn Saturday. You know what I'm saying? Shit, man. I don't know. This is like they got them playing Steve Wilkes, man. All this bullshit. And like I told you, motherfuckers, with that dumb ass shit we got there, he got his wife in here doing this shit. You know what I'm saying? That shit dumb as fuck, man. That shit motherfucking ass.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
dumb
show
ass
about that
retarded
last
ass
week.
shit, man. You don't see nobody else but they motherfucker.
The irony of the inclusive, exclusive hire is interesting. Let's go to the next call, guys. See who we got here.
Oh, wait, can I just say one thing real quick
please.
though?
We didn't
He
hear
said
you.
I look. Joey said I look great in these shirts.
Yeah,
So,
you do. Yeah, there ain't nothing wrong with it. Either you look like
Yeah.
you kind of look like
I think he
It's
kind of missed the joke though.
comeback
Joey.
emo guys.
No,
Oh,
I look like
Joey. I did miss the joke. Oh my
yeah,
god.
Joey said I look great. He
love
can't
it.
fucking
He said Wakanda forever. Yeah, he said Cody last knew his best black friend too. Next call.
Man, TGIF. Happy Friday, everybody. This is me, T-Dog 1983. I hope everybody can hear me nice and clearly. I'm currently driving home.
This was
work,
an early
off
call.
late tonight. But I just want to call in real quick. And
yeah, C-Dog likes my shirt.
I told y'all this shit last week. When Tepper had his fucking wife in there, you know what I'm saying? That shit fucked us up. Like, man, I'm so
bothering C-Dog.
so tired of such a dumbass shit, you know?
I feel it.
Better. That's the goddamn hiring Matt Rhule dumbass. And now you got eggs on your face again with this shit.
He said that's an old call.
Yeah, we appreciate it, C-Dog, man. You're the best, man. He always supports the show. It's fantastic. I'm trying to go back to a couple of these old. They're getting a little bit too old. So a couple of January 18th call. Let me see if we got one. Here's from a few days ago. I try to play some of the more recent ones first because I know they're listening.
This is Charles. I think the Carolina Panthers should keep Steve Wilkes and look at offensive coordinators. I was hearing from like Tony Dungy was saying, a guy that used to be offensive coordinator for the Texas, Pat Hamilton.
Oh, that's a good
Maybe
name.
Steve Wilkes get Pat Hamilton as his OC, or Byron Leftwich, or either Jim Caldwell. What y'all think about that?
Good call. Good call. You know what? Real important question going forward is just regardless of who any of these teams hire, is that the pool for offensive coordinators is pretty not the pool, the job openings is also pretty big, right? I mean, you got the Chargers fired their offensive coordinator, Tampa fired their offensive coordinator, Indy's looking for an offensive coordinator, Denver's looking for an offensive coordinator, the Commanders are looking for an offensive coordinator. I don't know. There's probably 3 or 4 other teams that I'm probably not thinking of. The Carolina, right? So the offensive coordinator job is there's going to be a lot of openings there and a lot of competition for whatever coach is hired and whoever will be hired. But the only news I got about the Jim Caldwell is I would love Jim Caldwell in so many ways, but he was requested for an interview as an offensive coordinator for the Commanders, and he declined it, saying he's only interested in a head coaching job. That might change if he doesn't get a head coaching job.
He won't get a head coaching job.
Then you know what? I'm kind of interested in the old Frank Wright, Jim Caldwell combo would be cool. What if we just went all old curmudgeons? We went Frank Wright, Jim Caldwell, and Vic Fangio. Come on, baby. Let's get it.
No, dude, if we're gonna bring back Frank Reich, it needs to be with Steve Wilkes as the head coach.
No.
Dude, I don't want nothing to do with it. I don't know.
Steve Wilkes won't come as Frank Wright's defensive
You
coordinator.
talk about someone being so easily wooed by someone with the unimpressive resume.
Who have I been wooed by?
Caldwell's resume is not that impressive for you to be being a Panther. Like,
Just as good as Frank Wright's resume, if not better.
Whatever. I would prefer we keep Steve Wilkes and hire Frank Reich than bring in.
I
Caldwell.
just said Frank Wright head coach and Caldwell as his offensive coordinator. That's what I meant.
Why though? Like,
well, okay. Well, then who else?
I mean, no. I think Steve Wilkes is the head
Frank
coach.
Wright and Mike Kafka. I mean, fucking nobody's done anything. I mean, I think that's kind of weird to just dismiss that as like a stupid thing.
I just think that you're too beholden to them having to have prior experience. That's the only way that
Caldwell would be a great offensive coordinator.
But we're talking about prior experience. So you said Kafka hasn't done shit. And I'm like, I would prefer to go with
I think prior experience helps you in the offensive coordinator position far more than people give it credit for. The repertoire, like being there, seeing that, being in those positions.
You have to
and
start
I think
somewhere.
this is, yeah. Well, I want to win their fucking North Turner, best offensive coordinator we've ever had, arguably. Is it?
Up
Who
there.
is it? It's either. I would like to know this. This is a great poll question, and maybe not for this week, but for the future. Who's the best Panthers offensive coordinator? I think you have to put Turner in that conversation.
Yeah.
North Turner. I think you have to go Mike Shula. You're going to have to go whoever the fucking offensive coordinator was in 2003 when we won the Super Bowl. And everybody is going to love on some Rod Jasinski. That's a good one. But I don't know.
Judd?
Tell me. I don't know. Is that like that's fine? I mean, who would be the better offensive?
I remember Chud fondly became a Panther fan hardcore. It was when Chud was here. So yeah, I was, I hate that he went to be the coach of the Browns, man. He could have made some more magic here in Carolina. But
all right. Well, cool. Those are all the calls we went through. I'm omitting a couple of duplicate calls. We appreciate your support. The number's 252-228-5098. We're here on Tuesdays and Fridays. And as breaking news breaks, you guys can go ahead and expect us when the Panthers head coaching news comes about to be getting as live as soon as we can physically possibly do, and do a bunch of specials. I'm sure we'll do multiple throughout that week as the news continues to unfold, because as soon as we hire that head coach, then the names of those offensive coordinators and stuff will quickly start to trickle in, and we'll be interested in following all of that. You can follow it on the longest running Panthers podcast out there. It's the C3 Panthers podcast. We're on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, wherever you get your pods. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook. Small things like subscribes help us grow, particularly as we grind through the offseason in preparation for the combine, the draft. One of the coolest things that the C3 Panthers podcast does, and we're kind of first. This is one of the things that we were very early to the party on, is the live draft party. We've been doing the live. We did the first live draft party was when we drafted Kelvin Benjamin in 2014. And we had people call, like, kind of cutting edge for 20. What was that? That was 2014, right?
Benjamin, yeah.
And then he was hurt for 2015. That was kind of cutting edge to have a live stream for the entire draft and a party in 2014. We've done it every year since. Thank goodness Tony will stay awake at least to the Panthers pick, because we're picking in the top 10. Boy, that's 25.
Maybe if we don't trade him away for
dude, that one time you fell asleep, and I don't think anyone knew. Like nobody even knew for like a good.
You're partying.
20
I brought it up. I was like, "Oh shit, what the fuck did I miss?" I was the one. I should have better, but I have no problem missing out on us. Let's go ahead and continue with the show, guys. I would tell you this: is Sean Payton's news, bro, is not the news. Benjamin Albright tweeted that today that NFL teams might not be ultimately as interested in him as first suggested, or, that for a variety of reasons, he might be going back to TV, however you want to phrase it. I'm starting to wonder now if any coach who, when they don't have a job, goes on a media tour is really just on a mission to PR themselves? Like, has Sean Payton just been trying to inflate his value and his worth as he walked into these negotiations? Because one of these coaches who did it was Matt Rhule as he got fired. He from the Carolina Panthers, he showed up on NFL Today, Good Morning Football, on the fucking everywhere. He was popping off until he got his job. Well, this is one of the more recent interviews, Bussin' with the Boys, which I just realized was sponsored or hosted by Barstool.
Ron? Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that. And I feel like this. I watched a full episode. I watched a lot of this episode today. And they put a lot of fucking injected ads into their YouTube video. It's like every 5 minutes. You got to hit skip ad. Anyway, it was a great podcast. It was very entertaining. You heard about their trip to Las Vegas. But Matt Rhule goes on to talk about his time in Nebraska and spent a lot of time, because these are pro football guys. Taylor Lewan from the Tennessee Titans, who's been struggling with injuries. But this other guy, his name's Will Compton, who played for the Oakland Raiders, played for Nebraska. So kind of this was the connection, is Will Compton, star at Nebraska, and with the co-host of Bussin' with the Boys. So they land or bring in Matt Rhule for that connection. And Matt Rhule, I don't know. I'll let you guys decide how you interpret some of his comments. Let's go to clip 1.
Practice hard, and I'm going to coach them hard, but that doesn't ever have to. I can demand them. I don't have to demean anyone. I don't have to. If I look back, even on my time in Carolina, I feel like there's only one time that I truly regret. But really, I don't think I've ever threw anybody under the bus. Like, I don't think I ever said, like, well, we just don't have this, we don't have that, or it's this guy's fault. I tried to always made for some awkward moments, because sometimes I was probably trying to overprotect the guys, but I always feel like that's my job, is that, like, you want to be a leader, get out front, man. Like, take the bullets for your guys and hope that your guys respond for you. And so
I will start off. This is the first clip. Now, I didn't record his whole conversation, but I'm going to give them to you in chronological order of how I heard them. And I stopped it right there because people know that if they've been listening to this conversation, we're going to talk about some other things. How do you respond to Matt Rhule's? What do you think about that statement? Never threw anybody. Do you guys, does that, how do you feel?
I totally disagree.
Well, yeah, I think it's bullshit. Number one.
Yeah. It's bullshit. But can we get to the Cam Newton part? Because that's where
I'm just saying, do you believe?
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's very clear.
As we look back,
it's very clear that he threw people under the. No, not at all. It was clear that he threw people under the bus, and that especially towards the end himself.
Okay, here is Matt Rhule next on his kind of, if he could take one thing back.
Why don't you think it worked out in Carolina?
For me?
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Maybe. I think
for me,
over kind of a tough situation.
For who else, Matt?
Hold on.
Yeah, really.
Maybe that. Here.
Well, pausing to think about his answers, what it is.
Here, let's listen to this. I'm just going to play him in chronological order. Because
why don't you think it worked out in Carolina?
For me?
Yeah.
I think I took over kind of a tough situation. Like, there's a lot of Hall of Famers on that team that were leaving, and right off the bat, they ended up letting Cam go, and then Luke retired, and so I think if I look back, I would have just tried to do it faster. I would have tried to be a little more aggressive in free agency. I tried a big trade, but that wasn't really the plan. I'm kind of a loyal guy. Like, if you tell me, like, this is how I want to do it, then I'm going to do it that way, and I'm going to take responsibility for it, even if maybe it's not always what I agree with. Like, if we say, hey, we're doing it this way, we'll do it. So I just, I never got the offense going. Like, we went from, like, the worst defense in the league the first year. We were second the second year. I thought the defense was coming on. And even this year,
this was supposed to be
like,
the camp.
I was proud of the way they played down the stretch. Like, they played well enough, and Steve did a great job. But I knew that team. Like, if you go back,
I don't know. I hope I didn't missave the camp. If you can find it on Twitter, that would be helpful. But to paraphrase what he said is this: he never threw anybody under the bus, and that the one time, if he regrets, and I do think, just make sure this is.
You think they'll strike us if we play it?
You got it. If you got it,
yeah, but they might strikers because the last time I played another podcast, they don't let
It's
you
just
do
a clip of it, right?
Yeah, but it's like a almost a 2-minute clip.
Is it the YouTube video or is it the Twitter?
No, it's a Twitter.
Play it. It's just Twitter.
Give me a second.
Look, unless you want me to paraphrase, ultimately he said this is that the biggest mistake he made, or the thing that he regretted, the kind of interaction with the player of throwing them under the bus, was after a loss to Buffalo last year on a 4th and 1. Cam threw a bubble screen on a run pass option, and in the press conference afterwards, he put it on Cam saying it was the right call by the coaches, and that the quarterback should have ran it or whatever. And then in retrospect, he went back and looked at it and thought about it. And this is the thing. Actually, maybe this is it. I think I do have it because I might have said Rhule is a sniveling.
So I was the head coach. Basically, I was their head coach for 2 years and 5 games.
Mm-hmm.
I had 2 GMs in 2 years.
Yeah, that's not it. I missaved it. Fuck. Sorry, guys. I blew it.
I found his original clip of what he originally said on that play.
Yeah, let's just hear about the Cam. Oh, the original.
Okay. This is what apparently he
referring to.
Work.
He's defending his boy Jeff Nixon. Oh, it's not playing well.
There's a bubble on there in case an unblocked blitzer comes,
All right, so
yeah, dude.
Yeah, this is the thing, and I'm gonna go ahead and put this out. Is what he said is this: is that he defend and this is the one time I actually do understand. Like, I think Rhule makes some point. Like, whenever he makes anything that I can just say, you know what, I empathize, I connect with that. Right after it, he says something that just makes me want to punch him in the face. And I'm so annoyed by the lisp, the crazy underbite. It bothers me so much. It bothers me more than it should. And I'm embarrassed about it. But I've told you that, look, I've confessed about this crazy desire, this dislike, and I regret it. But he said this, is that he was like, oh, and I felt so bad. He goes, my heart, he said, I wish people knew how crazy it was to do a press conference right after, like 10 seconds of preparation, right after the game. You're walking in there, your heart rate's like 109. And I do forgive people for saying things like, we all act like we would be so polished and wonderful in those moments, or at least we hold them to those standards. I do really empathize with people who just make mistakes, who don't, who mispronounce words or say things wrong. I actually give a ton of grace to that. But then this is where I fucking hated Matt Rhule. He goes, but Cam's such a high level football thinker that we talked about it. He was right. Like, and then he goes, Cam, hardest working dude I ever worked with. There till 11 o'clock at night. There at 5 o'clock in the morning. My whole thing is this: he overcompensates and over embellishes so much that you just think it's fake. Like, you don't really think any of that because it just sounds so car sales, like, pitchy. And I was just like, just be honest. Chill out.
I don't know how you made it through that entire podcast. I can't. I'm saying I can't even listen. I'm gonna let Greg go. I can't even listen to the dude.
Yeah, and here's my thing: is when you have somebody like that, and he's like, if you guys could just understand the pressure of the interviews and stuff like that, that's great. But guess what? That's why you get paid the big bucks. That's why you make that money. That's why good actors get cast for good roles and make the most money. That's why the best athletes get paid. If you can't perform, you don't deserve that position. But that's part of that job. It sucks, but you signed up for that. You knew that going in. You know what I mean? And it's no different than a college presser.
I'm just saying mispronounce. Like, if you misspeak, I can give you a little grace on on the cuff stuff. You've
Yeah, I
rehearsed
understand that, yeah.
things. You get takes in Hollywood. I mean, there's like live production with emotion. And I can, you know what, as I will defend Cam forever for being pouty in the Super Bowl press conference. And I just say this is that you fucking people ultimately handle shit differently, and maybe they don't handle it the way you want. Right. It's like, and I'm sure that he would have rather done some shit that was far better or handled it completely different. Do you know how many things in my life in the moment that I wish I would have done differently?
Yeah.
But I also remember this is that they were celebrating right behind that screen, right behind him. There's some context. And I also always said this about our players is people want to get to know them. And then when they get to know them, they're like, I wish you would act this way. This happens all the time is so I can understand him just saying, look, I fucking talked a little bit too quickly about something that I wish I wouldn't have. And Cam Newton's a veteran. He knows what the fuck's up. And I should have given a little bit more respect and patience at that moment. Instead, it's like, oh, he's the fucking smartest dude I ever knew. It's just so, it sounds fraudulent. He sounds like a sniveling biatch. And here we go. Listen to him about his situation in Carolina.
So I was the head coach. Basically, I was their head coach for 2 years and 5 games. I had 2 GMs in 2 years. So, you know, obviously you have one and then you're trying to work with another one. I had Marty Herney, who's awesome. And Scott Fitter is as classy a dude as there is. There's not one like major trade we could have had that we didn't do. Like, oh, we should have pulled the trigger on it. More like looking back, it's like, hey, if you only have 2 years, man, let's go shoot our shot.
Yeah, you could have been under the influence that you had time.
Yeah, like, well, yeah. So, like, for me, if you say, like, hey, I just want this kind of built over 3 or 4 years, we'll build over 3 or 4 years. If it's 2 years, it's 2 years. And so I would have probably maybe made a trade. Maybe.
Hey, fuck you and your different GMs, bitch.
Right?
You got everything you wanted. Again, excuses.
Yeah.
You know what? He just says what people want to hear in the moment.
Right.
To refrain from, there was one politician recently who did this very well. And I think it's awesome. Like ultimately it gets you certain response from people. I just felt like he was like, who we talking to? Pro-life? You got it. Who we talking to? Pro-abortion? You got it. Who we talking? Do they like guns out there? I got you. So like you just can talk to the audience. And that's all he's doing. Here's a final clip from Matt Rhule.
He was the head coach in Arizona and just kind of in that transition.
On Steve Wilkes.
Right.
Like the same thing I talked about. Sometimes you just kind of get caught up. You're a great head coach. It's just the wrong place at the wrong time. I think Steve, right around him after about a month, I remember saying to him, like, hey, I don't know what'll happen here, but if I can ever help you in this, because I just could tell his leadership and his command. And so, like, you know, they're going to go through the head coaching searches right now. And they just went through it in college. You're going to go through it in the NFL, and they're going to talk about all these really cool coordinators. And to me, that, you know, being a head coach and being the coordinator is about, like, you know, you're both doctors, but one, you know, one's a cardiologist and one's an oncologist. Like it's completely different. Like the things you deal with.
One's
as a head
a
coach,
fraudulent fucking
especially in the NFL,
EMT.
you're dealing with the GM, you're dealing with the owner, you're dealing with, you know, player issues, you're dealing with all these things. You're dealing with game management, you're dealing with situational football. Steve I think is great at all those things. I think he's an elite head coach. He has experience. You know, a lot of times you get fired as a head coach and they don't bring you back. Well, you have experience. You know, you've seen what worked, you've seen what doesn't work. And the coaches I look up to the most, the Andy Reid, the Bill Belichick's, those guys. By the way, those are the first guys that reach out to a guy like me when I get fired. Those are the first guys.
That's awesome.
I mean, like, they're classy, but like
we've all been fired.
They were head coaches. They went through what I went through, and their best days were ahead of them. That's why when I came to Nebraska, I was like, "Can we do it here?"
Let's make it about me at this point. They asked him about Steve Wilkes. This begs the question: can Matt Rhule get through a single conversation without saying the word elite?
No, dude. Has there ever been a fired Panthers coach in our history that has been more reviled by the Panther fan base than Matt Rhule?
So. Yeah, I think he takes the cake.
Like, not John Fox, not Ron Rivera.
He said at this one point, he was like, and I I missed one of the clips. I messed it up. He was like, I tried to tell people that, like, this team was close. You know, like, I know we started at 1-4, but I kept saying in the press conference, give Baker time. It's going to click. And you know what? They did that with Steve. And he was like, last year we built the number 2 defense. We had one of the worst defense, then we went the best. And it's just like, man, bro, you're talking, you have the benefit, the luxury. What this shows you is he's talking to 98% of the people hearing the message didn't watch any of the fucking Panthers for the last 3 years.
That's
if you get
exactly what I was thinking, dude.
If you get to pitch that, then we all are just like, oh, well, whatever you fucking say.
Mm-hmm. Here's what it is. He's being a politician right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's
totally.
That is what he is doing, is being a politician. That is it. His existence, and I don't blame him. I get why he's doing it, because he's on a campaign to try to continue to be able to recruit guys, all these things. If he does this job badly, then they're not going to get the recruits that they need to be able to be a good football team. So this, I mean, I get what he's doing. He's just trying to build his stock up so that his time in Carolina isn't one of these things totally marred by what Panthers fans would be considered the worst coaching hire in the history of the franchise.
Mm-hmm. Damage control, basically.
Yeah. All right. Those are all I got to talk about.
One super chat. Kev says Rhule sounds like he's got some of that hospital cocaine.
What is
now, you might
cocaine?
I'm glad you asked. It's a cocaine hydrochloride nasal solution. And apparently when you're getting procedures done, like
we want you
if you're
amped up and ready to rock.
Dude, like apparently like surgeries on your face and shit when they have to numb you or whatever, or when you're getting procedures on your face. They give you some cocaine nasal solution.
It's like what is it that they give you at the dentist? Novocaine. We ain't gonna Novocaine your face. We're gonna cocaine your face. Maybe the Ains, cocaine, Novocaine. Like hydrocodone, like they'll tell you something about the drug itself. Maybe the Ains, cocaine's. Hell of a nasal spray, as some people would say.
Can you imagine how fucked up you would get off of that? A nasal solution? It's a nose spray.
That's probably never mind.
I bet you it does. If it numbs you,
heard about that. I've never heard about it.
If it numbs
your all after it these days. They're like, Mom, my nose is so jacked up. I'm sorry. And you're like, son, what's fine? And you're like, you seem okay. And you're like, man, I feel great though. I got this nasal spray, Mom.
Right.
Fucking been doing all my homework.
Went all my classes.
Final Fantasy 7.
Allergy nose. She thinks it's like an allergy nose spray.
Yeah. Totally. The kids are gonna be all after that. Like
Dude,
we were with Riddlin when we were 16. What's up and next?
Man, ain't nothing to it but
around the league. Playoffs and football around the league, basically.
Yeah, ain't nothing to it but to talk about these champions. So that's what we're gonna do, man. Which one y'all want to do first? NFC Championship or AFC?
Let's say this. What's the top story going into championship week?
The top story. How about the MVP candidate Jalen Hurts versus Mr. Irrelevant? That's pretty damn good. All
right.
And then I know you wanted to talk about this, Tony. Maybe we can do it now.
I think the top story right now going into championship week is Joe Burrow with the potential opportunity to supersede, leapfrog Patrick Mahomes if he was able to not only beat the Kansas City Chiefs this year, but then move on and win the Super Bowl as the best quarterback currently in the NFL. Burrow going against a hobbled Patrick Mahomes. I know they don't play head-to-head, Greg, but boy, will they be put on the poster and the advertisement heading into this game by the NFL. Burrow on the road, they go and smoke the Bills, and he's just in the snow. He was ice cold. And when I say ice cold, it's like an icy hot commercial as he just fucking slays it every week. Joe Burrow, I think right now, has an argument for being the best quarterback in the NFL.
I don't disagree.
It's a fair argument. Yeah.
That's the top story for me personally. Maybe we should say, how about this is second best quarterback to Trevina Lawrence.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think the way you put it earlier before you started the show talking about it was like, I think Patrick Mahomes is the guy right now that's at the top. If there's anybody if there's anybody in the NFL that's going to take that
There's
spot
only one
from him
person
right now, it's got to be Burrow. That's the only guy I can think of that's on that level.
Like I would legitimately accept it. Like I know we argued earlier about Lamar and all of this, but really we know it's Patrick Mahomes and everybody else at this point. And not that I'm saying that but I think the only guys that can even call and ask for a date to that dance or whatever are Burrow, who I think is a real argument. I think some people will hold on to Josh Allen a little bit, maybe. And then some people will kind of go, well, Herbert's the next thing. You just don't got it. But I think Patrick Mahomes is the dude that has proven it and has got it. Like, it's a clear. Like, this motherfucker, he just games every damn week. I mean, it just doesn't, like, even when he broke his damn ankle out there, he did this jump throw, and it was like, God, how are you even doing this, man?
Mm-hmm.
And so he's incredible. And I think Burrow, though, has been incredible and has the opportunity to continue to be incredible. Fucking Super Bowl last year, if they make it this year and win, he's just as accomplished as anybody at that point.
Yeah. Joe Burrow is unflappable, man. I mean, the dude is at that point, or at this point, you have to give him his credit. If he goes to another Super Bowl this year, come on, dude, that's ridiculous. And you know, a lot of people are. It's so apropos, you know, as soon as a quarterback starts playing really good, consistent football, to just say, "Oh, well, he's the next Tom Brady. He's the next Tom Brady." But dude, I've got to be real with you, man. Like, Joe Burrow doesn't have the biggest arm in the NFL. He's not the biggest body. He's not the fastest guy running away from you. But he's just ice cold, man. The dude is cold as fuck. He's unflappable. He understands how to read defenses. He's accurate with he's the only quarterback I know that plays better when his offensive line is decimated.
Yeah.
Like
totally.
last year, his offensive line was dog shit.
And then they hurt all their players this year, and they go out there.
Yeah.
And name it. Let me ask you a question. The way you described it, you said he doesn't do anything, like one single thing, the greatest, right?
But does everything.
My question is that while he doesn't do anything like singly, whatever those qualifications you listed off as the greatest, does anyone in the league do everything better than him? Like when you combine the everything better than him. So yeah, I mean, you might be able to find somebody who's got a bigger arm, but like when you pull together the total Madden rating,
right?
Is there anybody that has a higher rating? And I don't know if there's a real argument for it right now. I think you could say, oh, well, Allen and Herbert, like fucking arm strength, and then you can do this. You can say mobility or something like this, but one of the things that people have been saying is that he's one of the most prepared players ever. Like it's like one person that calls the games for the Bengals said they called him a savant. They're like, dude, like this motherfucker, some people think he's cocky, but like he just is so polished that he knows everything. So like he's the smart, like so crazy. Burrow, man. What I love about the Burrow thing is that he turned out to be the first pick. I mean, he was the first pick, but it was in a draft that everybody said there won't nobody else worthy of the first pick. And even me, like we kind of wrote a lot of it off as just being in a crazy offense, like so talented. I was just kind of curious in some ways to see how it translated. So it's an awesome story. Mm-hmm. It's a guy who's exceeded in any capacity what I thought he could be in some ways. Not that I know shit. But if he retired today, somebody said that he would be the most accurate quarterback in the history of football.
He's already the Bengals playoff win leader. He's already won more playoff games for the Bengals than any other playoff quarterback. What's funny about him is
incredible, dude.
Yeah, he's the first number one quarterback drafted number one in a while I've seen come in and be exactly what everybody said he was going to be.
Yeah.
And
More.
like prove
Even
he
more.
was that guy. Yeah, like he fits the bill better than any other number one quarterback I've seen in a
I
long
agree.
time.
Even Luck.
Yeah,
Think about that.
I agree. Even Cam. Cam
Well,
only did it for
I
a
mean,
year.
a lot of
Cam was
people
only
had
elite for a year.
questions about
you know?
Cam.
Yeah,
People had questions about Cam. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I think this is Burrow. People tried to tell us what was great about him is that he was more pro ready than most people. And boy, were they right on that.
Yeah, they were.
He was more everything than anybody thought, man. I gotta say this is like I'm trying to think of a quarterback I've been more impressed with. Like we talked about Lamar, we talked about this and that. In the time that I've watched football, and I think it's like some quarterbacks that maybe come to mind that like exceeded my expectations in a capacity that's hard to understand, like Tom Brady. Like, you know what I'm saying? This guy fucking, how the hell did he do that? I also think Drew Brees in a way exceeded expectations so much. Like, it's like if you could just outline what the greatest career they could ever have, they exceeded that even more so. Patrick Mahomes, I think you put into that category. Maybe Aaron Rodgers. I don't even know if I'm convinced I can say that about Aaron Rodgers anymore. Right. And I know I can say it about Joe Burrow. But here's what's interesting as we continue to talk about quarterbacks exceeding expectations. One thing, somebody put this in the chat, I thought was a great point, and that is Hurts has really got an opportunity to elevate himself in the discussion of quarterbacks as we approach the Super Bowl. Like if he can get to the Super Bowl and say even win it, right, is like all of a sudden you're going to have to be like Hurts. You were wrong on him. Not you guys, but like the world. Like he's like done something so experiential or whatever, so impressive that you just got to be like he's one of the top. Here's the thing. Hurts was a second-year player. I mean, a second-round draft pick. So he gets one less year on his contract. I can tell you one thing. Both these motherfuckers are getting paid.
Yeah, but wasn't he the first pick in the second round?
Yeah, but I think that makes it so he only gets 4 years, right? And like the team only gets 4 years guaranteed. Now they can franchise and they can probably do some different shit after that. But I think he's in a contract year ultimately. Like both of these guys right now can walk in to the GM's office after this year and pull a literal Deshaun Watson on their desk, and they would say, "Let me get the check, wipe this up, and get the checkbook." That's how.
I mean, they're both going to
Is there anybody whose stock has improved more than Joe Burrow's? Well, percentage-wise, I would put in Geno Smith and fucking Jalen Hurts. Like these guys went from making zero.
Well, are you talking about amongst the top quarterbacks in the NFL or just in the playoffs?
I would say this is Jalen Hurts is going to get to negotiate. In fact, I don't know when his contract is up, but
they were drafted the same. Herbert, Joe Burrow, Tua, and Jalen Hurts were all drafted in the same year.
If I think Jalen Hurts only has 4 years with like as a second round pick. I could be wrong.
Right.
I think you're right.
Second round gets you 4. The first round luxury of picking somebody in the first is 5. So that would effectively mean that it's probably Hurts's contract year, right?
Yeah. This year is going to be the year that'll get him paid.
Right. And can you play any better? You know what I'm saying? So, like, go ahead and say Hurts is I don't care if it's the top 5 or the top. This mug has done more for his bank account this year than anyone could have expected.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a cool story. Both of these motherfuckers are about to get a dump load. The Brinks truck is Philadelphia going to be like, nah, we're going to, I don't know.
Who gets the bigger contract? Who gets the bigger contract, Hurts or Burrow?
Oh, Burrow.
Okay.
But I think, how about this? The question is, who is more worthy of a contract after this year, Lamar or Hurts? I mean, not more worthy of a contract, but if I'm saying here, I'm willing to pay Lamar Jackson whatever he wants. and then Jalen Hurts reels off and wins a Super Bowl this year, would he be ridiculous in asking for similar money? I don't know.
I think
He's
Jalen
fucking been
Hurts
incredible this year.
Yeah, I think Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow's success hurts Lamar Jackson's argument.
I agree.
To be true,
Like if Jalen Hurts reels off and wins the Super Bowl this year, I bet you I think you're right, Greg. Hurts the value. Tells me Lamar might not be as cool as I first thought. Let's talk about this as the other story. Anthony Piccirillo brings this up, is CMC getting his ring, Panther for life. As we talk about these playoffs, though, Christian McCaffrey.
He also said, love y'all boys. Cam Newton better than Josh
I
Allen.
love this. I love how Panther fans went at the first sign. They've been sitting and waiting in the weeds, watching these people slurp on Josh Allen. And as soon as Josh Allen is like made any stumble, is all Panther fans are like, we fucking told y'all. We told you. No, but let's talk about CMC briefly. Two questions that come out about it is, or maybe one statement about CMC. Fucking incredible in San Francisco. Yeah, man. At least on top of that, his playoff performance, like the last 8 weeks of Christian McCaffrey in the NFL have been what we believe Christian McCaffrey is in so many ways. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the value of Christian McCaffrey. At the same time, the question about this is, in retrospect, if the Panthers made the trade, if Christian McCaffrey somehow does this season afterwards make what we got for Christian McCaffrey more justifiable, or do you feel like, God, he's worth more than what we got?
I definitely feel like he's worth more than what we got. I don't want people get confused with me saying that I don't think that the trade was good for us. I got to debate with somebody on that online. They were talking about there's no way you can say the best player, the best run back in the league is bad for your team. And I was like, well, you can if he doesn't fit and you can't use him right. And that was the way CMC was. He made our offense one-dimensional. I love him. He's a great player, and I wish him success. But we were better off without him. That being said, yeah, it's a perfect fit where he's at. That being said, I don't think that we got enough for him. But I feel like our backs were against the wall. You know?
Okay. I'll rephrase it maybe for you, CK. Did the 49ers get a steal? For what this run is? Like, just say
yes, because the more success they receive, the less compensation it really ends up being.
And the Panthers are footing the bill.
Now, the tough part that they're going to have to really come to terms with this offseason is trying to find a way to keep everybody together. And now Christian McCaffrey having such a major hit on their it might not be as major because we're eating a lot of that.
Yeah, that's the problem.
But you know, there's still going to be some things they have to worry about with him. That team's going to be a little tougher to hold together in this offseason, especially with the studs on that defense. We'll see. At the end of the day, if he gets a ring, they won it. Like, they won the trade regardless. And even
if they get to the Super Bowl, honestly, I think
no, they have to win the Super Bowl for it to be
Hardy?
Yeah, I mean,
you got Tom Brady 2.0, I guess, in there. I mean, like,
here's my question: what's the reason you trade for Christian McCaffrey?
To win the Super Bowl, obviously.
To have a dynamic ass offense.
And what's the end result? What's the goal?
I mean, I guess the goal, then that would make every trade a failure, though, if you didn't win the Super Bowl.
It sort of is, but when you're talking about trading 4 draft picks for basically your entire
team,
I would argue that he's not the best player on their team, to be honest with you.
About Debo.
People forget about Debo and Ayuk
and Kittle.
We don't even talk about them because Christian getting the numbers, bro.
No, Christian doesn't get the numbers.
That's the reason why he's doing so well. Yeah, he only had like 36 yards receiving, like 24 rushing the other day against Dallas. He didn't do well.
Yeah, like it was like
how many Debo had.
Debo was a pretty good.
I don't know. I don't
remember
Kittle
the
stats of that game. It was
Ayuk that were the big.
I'm just saying it's kind of like this is the fact that San Francisco. I think it's hard to say that anybody is disappointed in San Francisco given what's happened with their quarterback. Like, I just think, like, good God, they're just fucking. Imagine if you were down to Purdy and you still made the NFC Championship.
Right.
Like,
That's
I mean,
what I'm
that's
saying.
like a
Yeah.
fucking incredible, monumental, Herculean task as it is. And hey, man, maybe they're the one team that can afford all those guys, as they're going to go field Brock Purdy for the next 20 years for $5.
Yeah, they're in a great
Tom
position
Brady
because
dollars.
realistically, they have 3 quarterbacks. They're in a great position. But I look at it like this: as far as it being a win, I think you have to look at if you're San Fran already right now as being a win. Because if you're San Francisco, you're not playing in this game right here without that Christian McCaffrey trade. And if he goes to Buffalo, like he was probably going to if he didn't go to San Fran, Buffalo wins that game the other day against Cincinnati, I think. So I mean, it's total win. You change the entire scheme of the NFL. I know it's 2 different
That's
conferences,
everything,
but
though,
you're
isn't
not there if you're San Francisco if you didn't trade for Chris McCaffrey. You're not winning 11 straight with Brock Purdy.
Crazy how much a win does
You
to
make
the
that trade.
narrative of life. Just think about it this way. If the Carolina Panthers would have won the Super Bowl in the 2015 season, do you know who the MVP of the game would have been?
The defensive or the offensive lineman, what's his name?
Tony Ely.
Tony Ely, defensive end, guy that got cut the year after. He had the same statistical game
Von Miller did.
that Von Miller had that game. So if you pull out the game and you just reverse the score, Tony Ely, MVP, think about the fucking alternate universe that creates. And Cam Newton, Super Bowl quarterback, fucking changes the whole timeline. And that's what I'm saying is wild, is like just how small Brock Purdy winning the NFC Championship changes his story. You know, like one game he's won. Incredible. Brock Purdy, crazy story. I picked Philadelphia and I picked the Bengals.
I'm taking San Fran and the Bengals.
The fucking Eagles fucking rolled the Giants, bro. They're a juggernaut.
Well, the Giants are not very good either. They're one of those teams that kind of backed into where they were.
Agree.
Yeah, I also think Philadelphia and the Bengals are gonna go all the way and take it, man. And dude,
what if Mahomes wasn't hurt?
I'm still
taking that. Would we all still
yeah,
take?
I'm still taking Bengals. And how about this? And I think you mentioned it earlier. If Joe Burrow wins and beats the Chiefs and is undefeated against the Chiefs,
5-0,
and if he goes and wins the Super Bowl, Homeboy is the best quarterback in the NFL.
I think you have to. Yeah, he'll probably win that number 1 by the player vote next year. To be honest with you, if he does that, and he deserves it.
He might even just to go ahead and give him the MVP, as we're talking about.
Patrick Mahomes pretty much got that in the bag. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the Bengals as well, especially with a hobbled Mahomes this year, or this week. And this 49ers. See, the 49ers and the Eagles match up so well.
I know it could be it could be a great game.
It's gonna be
the Eagles.
It could be a really bad game in the aspect of like there's no offensive scoring whatsoever.
Yeah, it's like an old Panthers Seahawks game or some shit.
Yeah, I have to go with the Eagles. I think Brock Purdy falls down from the mountain that he's on right now. He's been given a lot of easy layups, and I'm not saying he hasn't done well with it, and I'm not debating that, but I think he falls from grace this week.
I agree.
What if Haynes makes the game-saving sack for Philly?
Are you on Reddick?
I mean, Reddick's what I meant to say. Yeah, and we gave him up.
You know,
that was another thing I wanted to mention, dude. After watching Hassan Reddick, how the fuck?
How many
did we
sacks
let that guy go?
How many sacks did he have? It's like crazy. It's like 16.
I think he had like 14. Yeah, 15 or something like that. Like,
well, and the part of that is like the thing that's interesting to think about with that is like that. I don't know that he'd be as productive as he is without that defensive. Like they have,
sure, all that helps.
Hold on, think about this. They had 70 sacks this year, like the Eagles did. Like 70 sacks.
Is that the league record?
Because
we were second Well, we were on trajectory to set the league record at 60 in 2013. We fell short. We kind of slowed down a little bit at the end, but they added a game now. So I'm sure that people are going to asterisk it. But the Panthers defense, the best pass rush I've ever seen in my life, that maybe the one with Chris Jenkins in it a couple of times. They had 60 sacks that 2013 season. Fucking unstoppable. So 70 is an incredible number.
Yeah, the 84 Bears had 72, and then Philly had 70 this year. So Philly had the second most this year ever in NFL history.
Here's one thing, though, about tell me how many Hassan had, because this is what Cody, the defensive coordinator for the Eagles, said in a press conference. How many? 16?
16.
16. The defensive coordinator joked in a press conference that Reddick would have had 25 had he not dropped him back into coverage so much. Like he was like, you guys don't understand. Like, this number's dope. A and B. Like, I was using him all different ways. If I would have just fucking let him loose, these ones would have been.
Dude, he was our primary pass rusher last year, and when he's out there, he looks like fucking Von Miller. Like the dude can run full speed going under a table. It's just bananas.
You know that Luvu's got a little bit of that in him for me.
Look,
like,
he got
kind
16
of like extra.
He got 16 sacks and he tied for first place on his team. Or he tied for second on his team. What the hell?
Who else had that?
Who got more sacks than that?
God damn. That's badass. Here, this just around the league, quarterback's about to get paid.
Yeah, this is sort of in line with what we were talking about. Yeah, I mean, Burrow is going to get paid. Herbert's going to get paid. We were talking also about Jalen Hurts probably might get broke off at the end of the season. Yeah, the quarterback market's about to go up and up and up and up. Which, again, even though I'm not in love with the rookie quarterback class, be it this year or next, man, it continues to show you the importance, I feel, of having a quarterback who is on a rookie contract that you can build around and put talent. You know, that's another reason I'm such a big fan of Matt Corral. You know, you guys were talking about Brock Purdy and how little the 49ers are going to be paying for him. Imagine if we could continue to build around a third-round draft pick and how great that would be for a certain window for us. You know, the Panthers could do something similar to the 49ers.
Well, except for you're right about that, except for almost seems like the second round happens to be the sweet spot, because I think with third round, you don't even get the 4 years. You know, so like the key is to get them so you don't have to negotiate as fast. These guys are getting paid. I think one interesting storyline is who's going to be the big names like Brady, Aaron Rodgers, where these guys land. The Patriots go after Aaron Rodgers. The Dolphins go after any of these guys. They seem like there's going to be a movement among the older hats that are trying to win today. And also the question is, what are these teams going to invest in these youngins? And I think that this is with Joe Burrow, even more than anybody, you got to back up the Brinks truck. But speaking of quarterbacks, Tom Brady in our division, real quick, has been, look, is Tom Brady had a tough season this year. They backed into the playoffs. Tampa's a disaster. There's been this video floating around of him mic'd up on the sidelines, and you almost feel like nobody on the offensive line even gives a shit. He's like the only person that semi cares. I don't know if they're just so fucking tired of him or whatever it is. Who knows why? But Tom Brady, continuing to wonder what he's going to do in the NFL. And this was him talking about it on his podcast, his own podcast, to his own co-host, to the guy he basically pays to curate his fucking show. Here we go. Here.
Nope.
No?
I don't hear that yet.
Here. Did I not hit fucking share the audio? One more time. Share. Tom Brady podcast. Share tab audio.
you're leaving everybody guessing.
Yeah, here.
You said you'll take your time.
Yep.
Any type of a timetable as to what you might want to do regarding your football career.
Jim, if I knew what I was going to fucking do, I'd have already done it. Okay, I'm taking it a day at a time.
I sense you're antagonized by the question.
You're scratching.
It's only the question that everybody wants to hear.
Hopefully you could hear that.
Yeah, we could.
Okay. That's Tom Brady. No wonder they fucking wanted to talk to him.
Yeah, he's kind of asshole-ish in his old age.
Interesting. Tom Brady, not going to be in the NFC South at all. I don't know if there's anything else to talk about. We mentioned Aaron Rodgers. Bill O'Brien's going to the Patriots. This we talked about a little bit earlier is just the offensive coordinator jobs. There's going to be a lot of them going forward. So that's what we got. That's what I got. You guys got any final things before we hit the
Ice up
segment?
No, man. Just I'm excited for the games. It's going to be exciting to see how it pans out. I agree with Greg. I think the best possible teams that you could have hoped to get. I think that's what we're looking at now. And hopefully, I'm hoping, we'll know sometime soon who's going to be the next head coach of the Carolina Panthers.
All right, cool. Longest running Panthers podcast out there, literally 12:08. We're hitting the final segment, longest running Panthers segment on the longest running Panthers podcast. It's where we ice up someone. It's our homage to Steve Smith. Everybody is fair game. It's where we tell someone, whether it's the football field or outside, like I said, politics, anything, society is all on the table. We tell them to ice up, toughen up, to get it together. Let's hit them ice up picks, Cody.
Let's do it.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I got two ice up picks. One I'm going to show a video for. The other I'm not, because I'm icing up the kind of attention grab it is. Like, it's kind of getting old to me. And that is these girls acting kind of scandalously clad, and then they post these videos where their moms walk in on them. And it's like, there's two going around right now, but there's probably 100 million of them. Like, this girl's singing, and then her mom walks in and it's like, you slept with the teacher? And then she's like, what? And they have this like crazy fight about her being as her mom called her, a slut. But then there's this other one where this girl's like OnlyFans dancing, and their mom comes in, and it's like, oh, and then the comments, people just go hook, line, and sinker into it. But I'm like, why the fuck is she just walking in, checking her purse in her daughter's bed? It doesn't make any sense. The post, I just don't believe, I think it's attention grab. So, like, you got us already. Yeah. As old President Bush said, a fooled man can't get fooled again. So, but here is my new ice up pick, and it goes to, I don't know who to ice up, honestly, with the slap contest.
Oh, God.
Oh, the slap fight?
No, I know it's cool. I think it's funny when your own friends do it, because it's like, I don't think it's really cool, but like, I knew some guys that in their fantasy football league, if you lost, that's what you had to do. But there are also like dudes that just work at a pizza shop.
Right.
It's not getting like slapped by Mike Tyson. Right. And so what I don't know what to ice up is, I've seen these two videos. I'm only going to show one, but the other one I wish I would show, just because I take enough time up, is it's one of those slap contests, and it's these two girls. And the first girl just fucking smashes her, right? It's the second slap. So I think a second slap is impressive. Like, you already got rocked, and then you're coming back after these moments.
Well,
and this girl looked like she could barely reach. Like, she had to check her range and shit. And she hits this girl. She slaps the living shit out of her and knocks her out. I mean, this girl looked like she had gotten hit by a truck. Like she couldn't stand up. She was the stars. I mean, fucked her world up. Also, I don't know if like I don't like the contest. I don't know if I don't like that I like it secretly. I don't know what I don't like about this, but there's just something about this shit.
Turn the volume off.
Oh, well, we get demonetized for a 9-second video.
Yeah, because it's if it's 9 seconds. Then...
Listen, let's just look at this shit.
Wow. Yeah, look at his face.
This motherfucker. Now, he also looks like he was already fucked up a little bit going into this. Like, if you see his face, it don't look healthy already.
Yeah.
But this motherfucker's face explodes. I'm surprised he lived through this one. But the other girl got knocked the fuck out. I don't know who I'm icing up. I don't know if I'm icing up the contest because it's not super athletic. It almost seems, I think with boxing, at least you can say there's technique and sport to it. Right. This just
a lot of fighters
sat there and just hit you with a baseball bat as hard as I could, and you hit.
A lot of people have a problem with this because at least when you're talking about boxing, one is
you're breaking up. You're breaking up. Bring it back.
One of the biggest rules of boxing and MMA is protect yourself at all times. And in a fight, you can do that. You can defend yourself. But a lot of people are like, Dana, and by the way, this is the owner of the UFC. This is his promotion, Slap League or whatever the fuck.
Is that what he was advertising when he slapped his girl?
Yeah, but dude, people were joking about him because a few days later, his Slap League premieres and he's slapping his wife around.
Yeah,
but dude, like a lot of fighters and people who enjoy fighting are like, yeah, this is not the same because you're like, there was one clip of a dude who got knocked the fuck out. His arms, like they literally stiffen up and go all stretched and shit. And dude, he's in a bad way. And when you're not defending yourself from that kind of attack, dude, you're opening yourself up to all kinds of future potential, brain injuries down the road.
I'm going to show it just because I talked so ad nauseum. I'm not going to put the sound on. Just look at this.
There's some crazy shit right here. They right here smacking the shit out each other. Watch this right here.
Watch this.
Oh, gosh.
Better get up.
There's some new shit on TV.
Yeah, like to let yourself take that, dude. Like, that's fucking.
I don't know. So I'm icing myself up because, or for clicking on it, showing it, watching it 4 times today.
4 views for him.
God. I agree with you, Cody.
Yeah, man.
I agree. Like there's just something doesn't feel right about it. It kind of feels like I don't know where it hurts. Maybe it's here. Maybe it's here. Maybe it's somewhere right here. But it hurts somewhere. That's where I say ice up.
Yeah. CK.
Yeah, if you want to queue up the video that I sent in the DMs, while you're queuing that up, I'll tell you about one other part. So I have obviously my fantasy league. We have our chat. We constantly go. We have a couple of Bills fans in there. And man, I tell you what, the amount of Bills fans that are ready to just fire McDermott, get rid of Brandon Bean, like they literally want to. This is the statement from them, from the Bills friends that are in my fantasy league. We need to release everybody on this team other than Josh Allen and move on. Like this is just, and they were basically making the excuse that Josh Allen was the only thing on that team that looked like it was wanting to win. And it was not a good showing for that squad. But I tell you what, Josh Allen didn't play good either. Like it was not a good showing by him in the slightest. And so the idea of gutting your entire team and starting a rebuild, let's go ahead and do that with a quarterback on a contract now, not on a rookie contract. Let's go ahead and do a rebuild now. That doesn't seem to really stop anybody from being successful at all in this league, does it? So I'm going to ice up Bills fans who are of the mind that you're going to just gut. You've had the most successful franchise that you've seen in over 2 decades, and your first instinct is to burn it all to the ground after a few years of not getting to the Super Bowl. You guys were 13-3. Like, come on now. This is a 13, whatever it was. It's absolutely, it was 13-3 because they didn't have the completed game against Cincy.
Right.
So it's I want to ice up that entire fan base. It sounds very entitled for a squad that hasn't experienced success in as long as they hadn't. And their first goal is to what's that?
And not ever, but like that haven't gotten even the. You know what it sounds like is a bunch of a-holes that have been listening to a-holes who are Patriot fans for the last 15
That's what it is.
And now they feel like now they're the Patriots.
They literally took over their division, and all of a sudden they thought they were a dynasty like the Patriots were. And they haven't earned anything. Like they haven't earned that right to say that they were a dynasty. So anyway, ice up to them. But my other ice up is there was a funeral that was happening, and we know a lot of times at funerals they'll do the dove release and everything, and so it didn't quite go as planned in this here little video, and I just want you to listen.
Followed by the Holy Trinity. That's all right.
One more time, please. One more time.
Oh, that's great.
You know, CK, before you probably hadn't seen this video at all, but the first time you said what could happen, like the Doves, just watch what's going to happen when these Doves release. I just recently rewatched the newest Jurassic Park.
Oh, yes.
And then, like, in the wedding, they throw the Doves, and my brain immediately went to, is there a dinosaur about to come and fucking eat me? But you know what? Yeah, it was a fucking Tyrannosaurus Rex 18-wheeler.
Yeah, the same amount of damage.
So
be careful having a wedding near the highway, right?
Right. Yeah, you got to imagine that's probably not the most ideal scenario to find yourself in. So I don't know. In that case, I'm similar to Tony. I don't know who I might set up, but I'd tell the bird to ice up, but he's probably already iced in the ground.
I feel so bad for liking this shit.
It's so messed up, but at the same time, you're just like, you gotta laugh at it because I mean, it's gonna happen. It's nothing. Whether or not I laugh at that, it's not gonna change the fact that stuff's gonna happen.
Yeah, I agree,
dude. It's hilarious. Go ahead.
Okay, mine's pretty quick and simple. I'll tell a little story. I'm gonna ice myself up. I was delivering mail last Saturday, and I have a church on my route. And it's a black church. They're awesome people. They do this food drive every Saturday.
Driving that truck?
I don't know what truck you're talking about. That wasn't me. So they're awesome people. They do this food drive every Saturday, and there's always this huge long line. It runs right through this line of travel, and they usually stop it and pull people over, let me by, and they always try to give me food. And I tell them, I'm like, I appreciate it, but there's people in line for it. Let them have the food, So I'm wearing my Panthers toboggan. And, they're all really cool with me. And like, I lean out and I was like, no, y'all have a great day. I really appreciate it. And one of the guys was like, yeah, Panthers. And I was like, oh yeah. He's like, you like the Panthers? I was like, yeah, I love the Panthers. And he was like, Panthers. And then everybody, there's like 40 people out there. Everybody starts doing it, right? Everybody starts cheering Panthers. So me, like a dumbass, just go, yeah, like that right there. Then I started pumping my fist because I realized what I was doing. So I'm icing myself up. No harm, no foul. Nobody was mad at me or anything, but I just realized the moment that I did it, I throw the black power fist up.
Yeah. Panther.
I was like, well, Panthers, yeah. So I'm icing myself over that because in the moment it meant nothing. Nobody was mad or anything, but just in the moment it felt really funny for me to do that. But it was really cool to have that many people cheering for me as a mailman wearing a Panthers hat.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it sounds like Joey the Blind Panther just found out you're white.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, no,
They don't give away the goose there. Cody?
Yeah, so some of you may have heard about this. It happens every once in a while, but there was a police chase last week in Boone involving a John Deere tractor that lasted more than an hour and topped out at 20 miles an hour. And yes, there's video of it, dude. So the tractor hit two vehicles, pushed a dumpster into a church. Police used stop sticks. They were not effective. The police then shot out a tire. Also did not work.
Effective.
I finally jumped off the tractor wielding a knife, but was no match for a taser.
Yeah.
Surprised they didn't shoot him.
Dude. So this is the craziest shit in the world to me. I don't know what makes me think you're gonna get away from police officers on while you're in a John Deere tractor. But come on, dude, this is some redneck shit. Do better. Ice up.
Kudos for committing. You know what I'm saying? Like once you've already fucking entered into that world, you might as well just keep driving.
It's like if I can just make the highway, I'll be fine.
You're already evading at that point. Like just make the ride 5 more minutes.
So what truck were you talking about? Was I driving that mail truck is what I want to know. When I started my story, Tony.
What truck?
I started my story about my driving the mail truck, and you were like, were you the one driving that mail truck?
The truck that hit the dove.
Oh,
because you were saying outside a black church, and they were having a wedding,
Yeah.
and it just seemed like a black church that was in that video. Maybe it wasn't. I was just saying, were you about to say I'm icing myself up, and I was the one that hit the fucking bird?
And they're saying, I don't know what happened, but a bird ran right into me the other day. I don't know what's going on.
I thought it was. I felt so bad. Man, small worlds. That's the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. Check out CarolinaCatChronicles.com. I put up a short post because I haven't posted since freaking August on CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Go to it right now and just click on it and click an ad. Hell, that would be even cooler than fucking reading it. But you could just click on the article. It's about Sean Payton's stock waning, as you've heard in this podcast. Check us out on Twitter at @cat_chronicles to follow the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. Engage in the show, share, like, all of that jazz. Cody, thanks for hanging out with me.
Yeah, man, you already know. Nowhere at night. Be on the lookout on drafttat.com for my my written columns for the Carolina Panthers. That's drafttat.com. And then every Friday at 7 p.m., you get to be a part of the C3 Panthers podcast. Join the show via StreamYard. That's the Friday free-for-all. The show for Panther fans by Panther fans. Come and join our cult, dude. We're having a great time.
CK?
You can find me at Codizzle Allen on most social media platforms, and obviously here every Tuesday night. And that's me.
Wonderful. Golden Pipes, man. Golden Pipes. Greg, well, tell us where they can find you.
Okay. So you can find me at the Bat Daddy 52 on Twitter, or you can come check me out on my other show. It's Geeks Chasing Squirrels Across the Multiverse, where we cover all types of media, movies, books, television, good stuff. Right now we're doing Last of Us, which is an amazing show. If you're not watching it, check it out. I'm icing you up if you haven't watched that yet. And I'm actually going to start watching Hunters tomorrow, nice. Tony, and I think we're going to try to cover some of that. So it's what, 2 seasons in now?
I'm into that one. Bring me on. Yeah, is that they're done with it now.
Okay.
They did 1 season in 2020. It took forever for them to come back. I think COVID, some shit like that. They got Al Pacino, bro. You got to wait on him probably.
Yeah.
But they did their second season over. It's final.
Okay.
Is Sarah watching Last of Us?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And how many episodes have they had? Because I've been meaning to watch it.
Second one was last Sunday, so you're only 2
Right.
behind. The
Got
first
it.
one's like an hour and 40 minutes though.
I don't know for sure, but I might try and join this Friday,
Yeah, let
Greg,
me know,
for
man.
the Last of Us discussion.
Well, if I got everything caught up, man, I'll hop on the free for all and just let me know then, and then we'll
Yeah.
go from there.
Perfecto, guys. Perfecto. Cody Lack, take us out of here.
C3 Panther Nation, until next time, keep pounding.